My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. That's United Airlines is stalking. They're flying over the John Stewart Company. That's a senior citizen apartment complex, and they're doing so flying right over the roof, hovering. And that is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking me repeatedly, as the images reflect both on the Google Drive and on X. The entity is doing so with the people of the state who are going to prison for the ongoing criminal facilitation, just like working at the library, gang stalking me with the military. The entity's getting up, going out of their way, okay, showing that they need to be in a cell, and that's exactly where he's going. He's homeless, and he comes out gang stalking with the government that's maintaining flights where United Airlines is not coming from any terminal at the Ontario International Airport, hovering over the City Hall and hovering over the John Stewart apartment complex, which is a senior citizen complex occurring at 6:20 in the morning. There is no United Airlines flight that includes hovering here. This United Airlines, a matter of judicially noticed facts, to a destination. This is what I was documenting last night while the entity is stalking with plane after plane after plane with the city of Ontario. The Ontario International Airport is the means of criminal surveillance by the U.S. military that's engaging in what is the criminal pattern of conduct with the population. The population who are mentally ill as well. This is not just a conviction for criminal activity, public corruption, but it's assessing mental instability, which is speaking to informing the way in which you're going to protect the American people from the criminals that are engaging in this deranged surveillance system. Also must be remembered, this is the entity that defamed my character. So while the U.S. military are the ones that are engaging in stalking in empty planes like Southwest Airlines, UPS planes, United Airlines planes, doing so in the environment where a fake sun rises and sets, doing so in concert that have engaged in what is defaming my character and are engaging in targeting together. This is the same entity that's engaging in what is consuming the flesh of other people, kidnapping children, moving them across the world, keeping them under surveillance just like this, and also defaming my character for murder that this gang stalking entity committed and criminal activity that this gang stalking entity is guilty of. And that's also how they are able to know who I am and gang stalking me, because they've committed the crimes that they then tried to pin on me. And this is also the entity that's going to be prosecuted. They're criminals that then engage in what is gang stalking, the one that they seek to frame. All right, that's the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in what is ongoing flight that's Southwest Airlines that's coming from Terminal 4 that's not resulting in any flight over the John Stewart Company. John Stewart Company, the senior citizen apartment complex full of 76 households. All of them are full. They're defendants. Everyone that is inside of these 76 units are being federally prosecuted, and they are losing HUD housing. They will not be receiving any sort of government assistance by virtue of engaging in gang stalking with the government. And they're doing that is in this environment. Securitas is gang stalking into the fake sun in the evening. That's what Leo is. And this is Leo's co-defendant. And Securitas is being federally prosecuted. That's a light activity. All right. While they're engaging in the pattern of conduct under the fake sun, stalking, in other words, with the government. This is the P.O.C. I've been documenting psychopathic pacing. This is exceeding stalking. This is the government that's psychotic with regard to the obsession with engaging in that which they were supposed to be able to competently accomplish. Southwest Airlines and United Airlines are floating out into the sky set, not having, into this, out into the environment, right? If you could see Southwest Airlines, they're flying out into the environment and they're hovering through the city, and the entity is merely maintaining what is ongoing circles of flight. They're flying in circles over and over again, and they're engaging in that pursuant to what is also exposing the Ontario International Airport, which you already know at the airport, the entity over me. All right, and that's the pattern of conduct. And the airport is also targeting while the airlines are stalking me throughout the city of Ontario and in the city of Fontana and in the city of Pomona, the city of Montclair, the city of what is Upland, where the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct, okay? This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:23 a.m., and this is the basis of what is a federal prison, but also the mental instability of the entity that is engaging in murder. And this is the entity that tried to defame my character. And this is the proof and evidence, which is beyond common sense, but this is a corrupt government. So the P.O.C. is establishing that no government is, through its own criminal activity, having any basis to then diagnose the mental state of the person that they're targeting. That is not the practice of medicine, nor is that the practice of law, and that is axiomatic. The government is corrupt. That is gang stalking me and also defamed my character, and did so through the courts. And that all those participating in that are outside gang stalking pursuant to a system, and they're going to federal prison. Okay, it's not just the gang stalkers outside that are monitoring. They make up a system that is carried on into the courts, where they're engaging on what is a corrupt system of what is targeting. Any court hearing pursuant to a targeted individual is a criminal act, and the entity is going to be federally prosecuted for it. This is P.O.C. Securitas is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and this is mentally ill behavior, and it's also criminal. All right, the companies nor is anyone a part of the population lawfully engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring, which is how you're engaging in the surveillance system, federal stalking. And Securitas is openly and plainly engaging in that, and Securitas also does not have a defense. And it's the same criminal prosecution for the airline industry. The entities engaged in this under the which I have, it is 12 hours later. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:25 a.m. This is Delta Airlines. This is a matter of judicial notice. You can see that the entity has not maintained any takeoff. They're targeting, Delta Airlines is targeting, and Delta Airlines is being prosecuted. Delta Airlines planes are used by the military. This is mental illness, as it's going to be used to have the military personnel, the gang stalking police committed, and the people of the state. You need to understand her mental illness. His mental illness is also exhibited while they're gang stalking with the entity that is stalking in planes, including with the light activity under a fake sun, while that ongoing deranged behavior is not reported, it's not spoken of, it's participated in, it's shared in, and they conduct themselves as though it's not happening. They're engaged in psychopathic pacing as well. This is the P.O.C. Understand, it's not just the demons that are right here at this same venue where she's got her hands in her pockets like she's chilling, where the entity's stalking by helicopter for 15 minutes. She's gang stalking, and so is Securitas is gang stalking. The law school, the city hall, the city of Ontario is gang stalking under a fake sun. That is Delta Airlines. Seconds later, that's psychopathic behavior. Delta Airlines planes are vacant. They're empty. There's no passengers on them, and that is no takeoff also. Airport is, and these companies, Delta Airlines is providing the instrumentalities of interstate commerce planes in order to stalk one person. That is the entity that is consuming human flesh. They are mentally ill while they eat people. They eat children. They kidnap them. They consume their feces. They stalk and monitor them. They murder them. And this is the entity that is now gang stalking me, and they're doing it in plain view. And I'm also legislating around a domestic terrorist system in the United States, which this is going on across the globe, which is why Delta Airlines is a threat to the public, not just the U.S., but around the globe. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:27 a.m. Delta Airlines is rising in elevation over the Ontario City Hall, while Delta Airlines is being clearly prosecuted for targeting and furtherance of murder and psychological torture. P.O.C. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:28 a.m. And this is United Airlines, again, engaging in what is targeting at the Ontario Civic Center. This is P.O.C. This is stalking by the commercial airline companies. It's stalking by the Ontario International Airport. It's stalking by the public entity, but the prosecution is going down to the specific airlines. United Airlines maintains no flights to a destination with passengers on them hovering over the John Stewart Company and the Ontario City Hall, and they certainly do not have any destination that they're headed to with passengers on them flying miles away from the airport and still hovering over the Civic Center. This is the entity that's doing so under the fake sun. I want to include this because United Airlines is being prosecuted for terrorism while they are monitoring. Monitoring using commercial airlines is an unprecedented basis of what is terrorism and stalking. Literally, the company being prosecuted as a stalker. All right, and they're doing so while the police are utilizing these planes and following, stalking. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. at 6:29. Pure frequency in and of itself is speaking to the entity's criminal engagement. Southwest Airlines, UPS, United Airlines are engaging, and Delta Airlines are engaging in, and this is a sample of what the entity is doing at 2 o'clock in the morning. Also, no passengers, no destination, purely stalking in the environment, where the entity is engaging in that conduct with the city of Ontario that is stalking using dumpster trucks. These are the mentally ill engaging in that with the light activity. And these are the companies that are going to be prosecuted. All right, P.O.C. This is mentally ill behavior, which is also a basis to shut down a company, a corporation such as United Airlines. P.O.C. It is 6:30 a.m. Entity trying to duck and hide the fact that they're stalking right now. They're doing a U-turn, okay? And this is exactly what I spoke to. Delta Airlines not conducting a flight to a destination. Neither is United Airlines. They're stalking. This is the same with UPS, any courier. They're all engaging in the pattern of conduct. They're doing so while Securitas is engaging in facilitating light activity, which is not only demonic, you're watching demons engaging in overtly criminal and deranged behavior, and they're going to be obviously and easily committed as well, and convicted, and they're doing so under the fake sun. This is the entity that's doing so at what is 6:30 8:32 a.m. Understand, she's going to prison. There's also no mystery about that. She's openly being exposed, and so is the homeless one with the dirt on. All right, he's engaging in what is gang stalking with the entity that's doing dips and U-turns, that's speaking to knowledge that they're being documented. I am, in fact, the one that is being targeted. You know that through what I've already shown you is a supernatural environment. The entity is engaging in what is psychopathic, as I'm showing you how you analyze the mentally ill behavior of demons that are stalking in planes. The entity is engaging in this while they are monitoring someone that is exposing it. The court is going to recognize this evidence as the ongoing admission of those who are mentally deranged, engaging in that conduct. There are no takeoffs over the City Hall, over the Senior Center, over the John Stewart Apartments. That's Southwest Airlines. Okay, and that's the P.O.C. That's the entity. Southwest Airlines is engaging in stalking, doing U-turns and dips and trying to dip below buildings when they know that they're being documented for stalking someone, that they have conspired. Southwest Airlines has conspired to murder me. And that's why Southwest Airlines is stalking. There are no flights from Terminal 4 that are ever over here. Neither is anyone on any of these planes where the entity is targeting. There's nobody on the plane where you're engaging in a U-turn and engaging in that ongoing repeated conduct under the fake sun in the engineer light while demons are operating a dumpster truck, while demons are operating vehicles with light activity, is the pattern of conduct of stalking, relevant positioning, psychopathic pacing in the engineer light with the ongoing amplified noise. They're monitoring. And everybody that lives in the apartments, everybody in relevant position, everybody on the roads and the highways are engaging in monitoring. And the entity is also doing this while they are keeping the person that is prosecuting them under surveillance. This is coloring the way in which this entity is going to be prosecuted for mentally deranged behaviors. The entity is gang stalking, and there are no flights scheduled right now. It is July 10th. It is currently 6:31 where the entity is maintaining this flight. And Alaska Airlines, that does have scheduled flights, does not maintain any over the Ontario Civic Center. Like I've documented, Alaska Airlines stalking me. Southwest Airlines, United Airlines, Delta Airlines is the same industry. The entire industry is being prosecuted while Alaska Airlines, Delta Airlines, or in any airline company that I document stalking me, as I've shown, they're all engaging in this pattern of conduct. They're not individuals within the entity. They are acting as one. They are not single companies, persons under the law. They're an entity. They are showing you what the entire system operates as under every company name. None of them are exempt, and there are no scheduled flights. And no scheduled flights is hovering over the Ontario City Hall. And there are no flights that are occurring where the sun rises and sets that is anything other than criminal surveillance. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and these airlines are engaging in the criminal system with the Ontario International Airport, and they're doing so with what is the published information pertaining to the operations of that airport, while that airport is maintaining also surveillance, and so is the Ontario local government, the Ontario City Council, the City of Ontario Mayor Paul Leon, but you also have the Ontario International Airport itself, the so-called president, the authority that are a part of this criminal pattern of conduct as I'm documenting it in real time. And you're looking at the frequency. It's not just the fact that it's happening. You're looking at the frequency. This entity has no shortage of supply of planes with regard to what is also real-time reaction, if you will, to what I say as I say it. Who is being prosecuted for this? These demons here. These are terrorists. All right, and it includes Julia Gu, whose image is not appearing right now, but she's a gang stalker, and they're all being federally prosecuted. They're being removed from position, and they also share position on the Ontario City Council. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and you shall be, they actually are, but you shall be held criminally and civilly liable for what the entity is doing under your corrupt leadership. This is how public corruption is existing, by the way. Okay, you're the president of authority, and you don't know that the planes, you're watching literally, and you maintain jobs and pay people to look at where the planes are flying, and they're deviating, flying far out away from the airport, hovering throughout the city in Upland, California. Yes, they are aware of where their planes are going, and they are a part of this pattern of conduct, and I have to be the one to document that and break that rudimentary basic understanding down. That's fine, I will do that, but these are being federally prosecuted. These are terrorists. And it includes Julia Gu, and it includes the entity that is calling itself an executive team. They are going to be federally prosecuted. And if Atif, for example, Atif El-Kadi is an immigrant, he's being deported. There is no respecter of persons. He calls himself a CEO. While I'm documenting the CEO, while the airline companies are stalking me throughout various cities in Southern California, outside of the legitimate operations of an airport that is also proven to be engaging in the pattern of conduct. And you have many that are coming from abroad, engaging in terrorism with the United States by virtue of maintaining positions just like Atif El-Qadi, who hate this country, and so do those who are gang stalking, such as the hitmen who call themselves the military, and how they engage in the corrupt regime of terrorism amongst those in the United States is hiring those that engage in what is maintaining terrorism, such as what the Ontario International Airport is doing. And they are literally given jobs while they're nothing other than what is another Osama bin Laden over a corrupt company that's engaging in terrorizing American citizens. And this is how public corruption is existing in the United States. And they're going to be treated according to what they actually are, not to how they want to refer to themselves, based on overt criminal conduct, which is not mysterious whatsoever. You're looking at it while United Airlines, Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines, UPS, the city of Ontario itself, the population, they're not just stalking in planes. Everyone is acting like it's not happening. You're talking about quiet enjoyment. There is no plane and helicopter that would be hovering over senior citizens and you not even being aware of it or acknowledging it. That's speaking to concerted activity, and that's a pattern of the entity engaging in that. This is a gang stalking entity, and the airport is being federally prosecuted for it. This is the entity that's engaging in this while they are monitoring the evidence, meaning you are stalking and doing U-turns and cartwheels while you're aware that you're being documented. And this is an entity that's doing so and has been doing so for years, okay? Every single airline associated with the Ontario International Airport is being federally prosecuted. And they're engaging in criminal activity pursuant to a system that the military is relying upon, in the same way that the demon-possessed government needs people inside of the Upland Public Library to pace around me while they fly over by helicopter, because they're not just engaging in what is flying over the building. They're monitoring me while I'm inside of the building. And the bodies of these demons are stalking under the law while they are cooperating with the government in that environment. And you're being prosecuted as airline companies that are engaging in this together, which is the corruption of the Ontario International Airport, which is a serious national security threat, and the airport is being shut down, and everybody in positions such as the president and the board and the executive team are being prosecuted as terrorists, and so are the airline companies. I have shown them before, but these are the appearances of the faces that are not shown right now. They're being prosecuted. These are terrorists, and I've been documenting them for years, and they're being federally prosecuted. They're getting criminal charges, okay? This is an entity that's engaging in terrorism and calling themselves a CEO, engaging in terrorism and calling themselves a senior vice president of operations and maintenance, and the operation is gang stalking. And this is the entity that's engaging in that, and you are engaged in that, which is it's as obvious as me capturing video of it. They are maintaining ongoing knowledge and maintaining this system as I'm subject to it, and I'm documenting it. And it is evidence to prosecute them, and that's exactly what's going to happen, the entire board. And this is what Julia Gu, who's a commissioner of gang stalking, she's being prosecuted for it. This is the P.O.C. This is occurring while the entity is stalking me at the Ontario City Hall that has the fake sun over it, where the military is stalking me by helicopter every night, every day, keeping what is that specific environment, speaking to Paul Leon being a terrorist as well. And moreover, you know the details, Paul Leon's a demon. So this is a terrorist that is demon-possessed. He's mentally ill, in other words, psychopathic. And the corruption that's underway by the City Hall, in concert with the City Hall, facilitated by the City Hall, and everybody that works in that building, including while demons are stalking, flying over that City Hall under the fake sun, and doing so overtly, such as what Securitas and even the gang stalking homeless are doing right outside of the doors of the City Hall. He's being removed from office and he's being prosecuted. Remember, he committed kidnapping with the demons that are gang stalking, the Ontario police, who are still stalking to date. He's going to prison. Under Paul Leon's corrupt leadership, Derek Williams, Mike LORENZ, and this current demon, Rudy, they're all going to federal prison, and so is Paul Leon. This is how a city is engaging in targeting, and I'm prosecuting that, and this is what justice requires for terrorism in any city and state in the United States. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. just to go ahead and conclude this, what you see here, this is the entity and this is the third party that's using a Securitas. In other words, this is somebody that's psychotic and is seeking to engage in both criminal activity that is mentally deranged, and doing so by wearing a uniform, doing so while being clocked in at work, is supposed to be the malicious guise whereby both you're targeting someone and further into murdering them and psychologically torturing them, you're stalking in plain view, and you're also doing it under the guise of what is, you're associating, oh, the fact that you work there with that you're not mentally ill, and that is not the case. I will show you the entity that is engaging in what is gang stalking under the fake sun that's still here 12 hours later, which is public corruption being prosecuted. This is at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, and everything that she's saying is audible activity with the government that you see stalking here, and the government's being prosecuted just like the entity engaging what is a battery, harassing me while you're being documented. And of course you're going to prosecute the government and document them targeting, and they speak through the demons that are gang stalking with them. She's stalking with light and saying anything. She's already going to prison. This is the P.O.C. But let me show you the fake sun that's on this side of the building 12 hours later. Alrighty, this is the same Ovid Family Community Library while the fake sun is over the top of my head. So where it is 6:44 a.m. at the Ovid Family Community Library, where their entity is stalking me with commercial planes. This is an entity that invests a lot of money in gang stalking, and they're doing it. The Ontario International Airport, the airline industry, the people of the state, the city of Ontario, the government, the military are all doing it in front of all of you in plain view. And they're also speaking to what is millions of dollars in stalking me, and they're doing it in an overt manner. It is conspicuous. Everyone is, you're watching someone like myself who has proven that I am being stalked in the most absurd ways, such as in planes and helicopters. They're doing it right in front of you. The entity is spending millions of dollars in doing it, and they're doing it at the address where the fake sun is over the top of my head still. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 8 hours from now, the fake sun is not only at the same address, it's over the top of my head at the same address where they are stalking me in things such as planes and stalking with light. The Securitas security guard is going to prison, and she's exposing her own mental instability. In doing so, she's a demon. All right, that's the P.O.C. And you're also mindful of what else you're seeing at this same location where Southwest Airlines is stalking at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In that environment where the fake sun is remaining, this is everything that's occurring in an environment where the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct. This is the entity that's doing so, hovering where you are stalking in that environment, where the fake sun is remaining over me, over the top of my head. This is the entity that's engaging in that at all hours of the day and night in concert with the people of the state, who are demons going to be federally prosecuted and are stalking with the entity, maintaining planes and helicopters. This is stalking me by helicopter. That's the same mentally ill entity that is also engaged in consuming human flesh. The entity that is stalking me by planes and helicopters. You are hereby put on notice. They're not humans, they're demons, and they eat people. They eat the people that they are targeting. Okay? They're demons that engage in consuming the flesh of children, having sex with children. I'm repeating this because the entity also tried to defame my character and have me accused of murder, while they've been gang stalking me the entire time. And this is what you understand about the government. The government's is full of demons. That is, and when you're referring to it in the physical, it's full of corrupt, psychopathic actors. Not only are they lying, they're mentally ill. This is why they do things such as climb in helicopters and planes to stalk somebody, follow them around. And they're engaging in what is more than just the gang stalking system, which is mentally ill. They're engaged in things that are abnormal, such as consuming the flesh of other people. And they're doing so while you are aware of the fact of what they're doing with those people that are gang stalking as families, pacing back and forth. Doing so in that environment conspicuously and knowingly. This is an entity that's engaging in what is necessary presence under that fake sun, which you're mindful of just on Sunday when I sit here all day long, and the demons are acting in concert with each other, not ignorantly, not accidentally, okay, not coincidentally. There is nothing coincidental under the fake sun. It is the pattern of conduct. Alrighty, and you're looking at what is a business, a corporation such as Securitas, which is being legally analyzed for and being prosecuted for the demon that's operating the vehicle whereby the elements of monitoring is underway. At 5:55 p.m., the fake sun is still over me, where Securitas is gang stalking, and Securitas is also going to be prosecuted for not only gang stalking, but for facilitating it by doing so now. While she's moving around with the light activity, she's monitoring, and there is no natural environment That's a prosecution of every corporation, every business, a prosecution of the people of the state. It's going to be the removal of a gang stalking law school. This is the entity that's engaging in this conduct with all of the resources of the city. Those are demons that are stalking with light, and they follow me through the city of Ontario, just like every other means, every other facet of the city, which is prosecuting Paul Leon, terrorism by the city of Ontario. This is P.O.C. That's called light activity, where the sun is still here at 5:55 p.m. Those are demons operating dumpster trucks, demons operating planes, demons operating helicopters, demons operating businesses, establishments that are gang stalking. And it will be going under those corporation name. Wells Fargo, Sarah's Regis Group, the John Stewart Company, University of Laverne College of Law. This is the P.O.C. There are no flights that are going to occur over the Ontario Civic Center. The entity is stalking me, okay? And that's the pattern of conduct. It is currently 6:48 a.m. The entity is psychopathic, and that is also evident. As I capture this evidence, which is serving to prosecute, the entity is going to be subject to what is commitments based on their ongoing obsessive endeavor regarding that which is already, they were supposed to be doing this secretly, understand. It's already been ruined, and so now you're talking about what is bare bone mental illness and obsession with that which they will not accomplish. The federal government is going to put them in facilities where psychopaths of that level belong, which is in subject to martial law, number one, the population, but number two, involuntary commitments of the gang stalking military. P.O.C. This is P.O.C. These are demons that are pacing together. That's impossible light activity underneath the covered structure, under the fake sun, which is still here. At the end of the building where this gang stalker is walking toward, which I showed you in the previous video, and Securitas is engaged in ongoing facilitation. She's going to prison for the level of facilitation that she, as an employee of a gang stalking company, Securitas is engaging in. And that's a gang stalking company, Southwest Airlines. The entity doing so about a minute earlier as well. I took a picture of that. The entity is engaging in this out over the Ontario City Hall, which is gang stalking, and so is the Ontario Senior Center. So this is evidence that I'm going to, with regard to the organization of my evidence, I do base it upon where I'm actually physically located, even though this is documentation of the entire Civic Center. This is video evidence that's going toward what is the Ontario Senior Center as well. The entity's monitoring in the bathroom. This is the sex offender that is engaging in what is surrounding the building with light activity like Securitas is, while the crime scene follows me, and they engage in that facilitating conduct. This is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. This is where I'm showing you the entity is going to have, like what I documented on Wednesday, when I walk outside of this apartment complex and the fake sun's on the edge of this apartment complex, and FedEx is gang stalking. How is FedEx gang stalking? By engaging what is the use, that is the exploitation, the abuse, the malicious engagement, and what is business of FedEx, which is actually surveillance, and they do so by delivering packages to the people of the state to engage in gang stalking. And that is the entity that has the fake sun over this apartment building 2 hours from now, where I did not go to Upland, California on that day. This is the entity that is engaging in stalking right now. Southwest flies over Senior Center. And as I go and progress to the City Hall parking lot area, so does the fake sun, and so does the plane activity, while that entire crime scene follows. This is an entity that is monitoring vagina inside of the Senior Center. This is the evidence of the fake sun that's still here, as you know, after 5 p.m. And the entity is engaging in this surveillance inside of the Ontario City, where the military are flying over, and a mayor is being federally prosecuted for this. And this is how you will identify very clearly the environment that is supernatural and the inevitable engagement and knowledge of that criminal system of surveillance, where they are engaging in that pattern of conduct as it's literally occurring while you're in the building. See, it is currently 8:16 a.m. Alrighty, let me show you the entity that is stalking by, there you go. Over now, MIG Real Estate, that's Metro 102, where there are also no destination, that's just a U-turn stalking. which is what Southwest Airlines just did, flying the senior center and flying over the city hall and flying over the senior citizen complex where the senior citizens are gangs. Okay, this demon in particular is at the same location gang stalking while the fake son is here at the end of the day. All right, and this is a demon gang stalking from the St. George Catholic Church. Those terrorists are part of another cult that's gang stalking with the government. Entities engaging in what is that pattern of conduct while they are maintaining surveillance with all the apartment buildings that are in relevant position regarding surveillance of an entity that is also demon possessed. Okay, and this is the evidence of that fake sun moving as I move. This is the P.O.C. This is the engineered light that I was trying to show. Impossible light activity. While you're not focused on feeding the cat, you're stalking in the path, and you're a psychopath keeping your back to the person that you're obsessed with, and you're a demon doing so. And that's why they gather at what is the cult of St. George Catholic Church that's stalking me with the military in the same manner, going to what is the Ontario Senior Center to engage in that same criminal pattern of conduct that does not change because they add Catholic to it. This is the P.O.C. Look at the overt criminal engagement in that pattern of conduct and the entities doing so. The religious demons and the secular demons are all demons gang stalking together. This is the video evidence that's going to be categorized as the Ontario Senior Center, speaking to the Ontario Civic Center that is all engaging in the pattern of conduct in relevant position. All right, so just understand the organization of the evidence as I'm maintaining a prosecution on social media. This is stalking as I move from place to place, and the fake sun is moving as I move. And this is where the fake sun remains until the end of the day. Okay, Securitas is being prosecuted. They're gang stalkers. And they surround the bathrooms where they're monitoring genitalia while the fake sun moves and the stalking by the plane conduct moves based on me, the target. And this is the target that's prosecuting that entity of the mentally ill. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:18 a.m. back at the Ovid Family Community Library right here, which is the senior center. This is the senior center over here. That's the law school that's being shut down. That's not a law school. When you're shown to be engaging in the pattern of conduct, you will be addressed in the accurate manner. This is public corruption. And so you have terrorists posing as that which is legitimate. And it's not. You're not a police department when you're gang stalking. You're not a fire department when you're gang stalking. You're not a security guard when you're gang stalking. This is the entity that's going to be based on what the evidence proves that they actually are. And this is also speaking to demons that want to pose as being humans, and they're not. They're being exposed for exactly what they are, and they're also being prosecuted and put in facilities and categorized and treated as the terrorist society that they are, so that everybody knows who they are and where they're at. This is the P.O.C. This is the pacing. These are actually creatures. Okay, and this is what the entity is doing all day long. The fake sun remains over this same walkway. P.O.C. It is currently 8:19 a.m. And what you'll see here is the entity moving right back to be over the senior center, where there are no flights. There's no agreement with the city that the airport would be maintaining flights over the senior citizens, over the senior center, over the senior citizen complex. You're listening to that plane activity. You're looking at that migration from flying and doing a U-turn over the parking lot based on where the fake sun is moving as well. And as I go back to the Ovid Family Community Library where they're stalking, this is the elderly that won't be getting housing. You will not be getting any government assistance. That's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and this is how you're going to treat the population that are engaging in the pattern of conduct. Meaning gang stalking is happening in the city, it's going to affect everybody that lives in that city. Period. They don't all have to come outside, and they don't because it's gang stalking, but you are engaged in the pattern of conduct and you do not have a defense nor any constitutional protection. It's the government system that's acting with the population that is fully engaging in that pattern of conduct, and the body of evidence shows that. What you're paying attention to is the fake sun comes back, and so does the stalking by the plane right over here. Okay, and it is coupled, the stalking with the aerial surveillance and where the location of the specific environment centered on me is where you're seeing the demons engaging in what is pacing, not just walking. Not just, you're not exercising, you're not walking your dog, you're engaging in security, you are engaged in what is, and that's where you're seeing that, and that's what you're paying attention to. The entity, while I'm here and the fake sun is here, is not engaging in what is flying at a distance where they're doing what is cartwheels, in other words, focusing on and targeting the people inside of that apartment building over there. They're targeting me, which is indicated through the environment, and also where they come as close as possible to stalk me in those planes, and in doing so, I document that to prosecute them that are stalking in those planes. And those that are stalking in the path are stalking with the entity via plane. And they are all mentally ill, and they're also clearly clarified as stalkers. There's no mystery because of what they're doing by necessity of gang stalking. And these are the inherently inferior creatures that are demon possessed, engaging in the government system, the demonic activity that is gang stalking. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:26 a.m. That's helicopter activity of the entity that's monitoring, which is confirming the post that I just put up on X. And I'm going to show you the entity that is stalking with all the corporate actors that are being federally prosecuted for terrorism. P.O.C. And this is exactly what the entity did for approximately 15 minutes last night as well. This is what I documented the demons were doing by helicopter the night before last. Also, while I'm in use of my device, the third-party CEASELESS Regis Group is being federally prosecuted for criminal monitoring and furtherance of murder with the military that is flying in circles over their apartment building, which is CEASELESS Regis, an establishment that is gang stalking in the specific environment, which is shared with the entity that is stalking by aerial surveillance, monitoring by aerial surveillance, in concert with every resident and employee and those that are occupying relevant positioning, such as the demons pacing in and out of the parking garage that is filled with engineer light. CEASELESS Regis Group is being federally prosecuted for engaging in what is obstruction of justice as well, and criminal facilitation. It is engaged in the perpetual sex offense as an entity gang stalking me and then threatening my life as I document that third party. This is what CEASELESS Regis is sharing in while I identify it in my post onto X with simultaneity. That is, while CEASELSS Regis Group is the entity that's engaging in surveillance on the internet, I'm subject to terrorism by helicopter in concert with the entirety of that state that has conspired my murder. Okay, that's what's behind what the entity is doing. My social media is the evidence of the entity engaging in surveillance on my device, on the internet, and that is what is happening here. I'm going to show you that. Hold on. Alrighty, this is the post that was shared right now, 2 minutes ago is what it says. And this is with regard to the corporate entity. The corporate entity is gang stalking in concert with the entity that's engaging in the psychotic behavior, the mentally ill behavior, the evidence that is going to have the entity committed, including those that are in that apartment building, as psychotic as the demon flying the plane and the helicopter. And the entity engages in this with regard to evidence against the airline industry, evidence against the Ontario International Airport, evidence against the airport board, evidence against Alan D. WAPNER, evidence against Paul Leon in the Ontario City Hall, evidence against every corporate actor at the Ontario Civic Center, about which I published in this about the John Stewart Company, CEASELSS Regis Group, MIG Real Estate, IG Partners, all the corporate actors that are being prosecuted, including Securitas. And as I do, the entity engages in the pattern of conduct of stalking by helicopter, because that is the only tactic that demons that engage in the same pattern of conduct over and over again, that's all they've ever thought about. Okay, that's all that they have. That's the best that they have. And they're going to prison and they're being committed for it. This is evidence that the corporate entity is criminally responsible for what it is actually engaging in. And they're doing it, remember, under the fake sun. So the apartment complexes, property management, the operations of these businesses that are in the specific environment are profiting from surveillance. And the evidence of the entity engaging in monitoring by aircrafts over and around those venues is a prosecution of those corporate actors. Moreover, I've provided the evidence that they are directly engaging in that which is justice as policy is formulated around this surveillance system. Alvarado Gardens, speaker companies, every employee and those that are working with me while I am employed as the manager at that property were gang stalking me, and that's why speaker companies, a third party, hired me, and they're going to prison for that. So was every occupant, every resident in that apartment complex, and this is already proven, in concert with LAPD, engaging in the same practice as what the military and the Ontario Police Department are doing in Ontario in the same supernatural environment. They're going to federal prison. This is what an entity is doing, for example, Woodside Senior Apartments, where every resident, every occupant, everyone maintains maintaining what is criminal presence with that government that's stalking by helicopter under the fake sun, you're being prosecuted by virtue of criminal presence in the path. And it's not going to be based on some contract, whether they're a resident, whether they have some contract to repair. That is evidence of criminal presence. That's how surveillance is executed, and you're being prosecuted. This is the P.O.C. This is evidence of federal stalking. It's 8:54 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun in Ontario. It's not in Upland. It's not remaining on Euclid Avenue, where they're stalking on the roads and the highways. And this is what they were doing last night as well, stalking while the entity has the fake moon over this same location. This is the P.O.C. The entity is always engaging in the pattern of conduct such that they are forced to expose what was closeted mental illness at the outset, closeted by what is the corruption of a government that's defaming the one that they are stalking and obsessed with. And it's also closeted while the entity is in an environment that you're ignorant about. It's no longer closeted, and neither is the criminal activity. And the entity is going to be dealt with the mentally ill society that it is that poses a threat, a national security threat. They will be permanently landed. They will not be on the roads and the highways, and they will be properly identified as terrorists so that everyone else knows who they are, and they are the demon possessed. It's 8:55 a.m. Under the law, they are the public entity and the corporate entity that acts vicariously. This is the prosecution of an entire apartment complex. Everybody that lives there, works there, and is in relevant position like they do all around the building with light activity, they're being prosecuted. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:55 a.m. Okay, I just want you to see the same pattern. The moment I stop my video, another plane flies over. They're mentally ill. The moment that I stop speaking, the entity resumes the sound of the helicopter activity flying. Metro 102 is being prosecuted. Ontario Town Square Townhomes is being prosecuted. The John Stewart Company Senior Citizen Apartment Complex is being prosecuted. Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments is being federally prosecuted. The Ontario Town Square and all those commercial actors around that venue is being federally prosecuted. Don't forget, Ontario City Hall, the City Council, every employee that's accepting a check, this is exposing them as gang stalkers. And they're all being federally prosecuted, and they are all being relieved of their jobs, which is proven to be surveillance. You're collecting a check, and you're nothing other than a vagina monitor, and you are being removed from position, and Paul Leon's not staying in position either. He's going to prison. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:57 a.m. I just wanted you to see that because that's all the entity is doing. Monitoring, listening to me, and then as soon as I stop recording, resuming that stalking. But that's psychotic. And it's pointless. I'm just proving a point to prove that further point because that's what I do. I prosecute. They're going not just to prison, they're going to be committed, and that's where they're going to expire. These are creatures, and it is better for the protection of American people that they are taken off the streets, taken out of the sky space, removed from position, and locked up for however much longer they have. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:57 a.m. All right, license 9 Yolanda 33W35 paper is monitoring. You see that light activity? She's gang stalking. Massive facilitation is the basis of prison, and she would specifically be committed because she's stalking with light, and it's gang conduct. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking with the entity that includes Alaska Airlines. You'll look at the image that I just captured. And this is also Hermandad Servicios Comunitarios. They're gang stalking. And what is natural is going to be immigration policy, which is violated by terrorism. And it's occurring while the fake sun and engineer lights moving across the building, which is not occurring from traffic. 6HJP858 is stalking with this African-American third party. This isn't a woman, it's a creature, and she's stalking. Okay? She's doing so while Alaska Airlines gives me evidence against her. They're not bright. The moment I take a picture, the plane flies over. Alaska Airlines doesn't have a scheduled flight right now, and it's not going to be hovering over E Street and Euclid, where Starbucks committed kidnapping at 7:15 in the morning on July 4, 2025. It's 9:15 a.m. It's 2 hours later, and you'll see in the video when I'm inside of that cafe, L. Edwards is stalking me just like she's stalking me, and Edwards is going to prison, and this is a basis of prison. This is a basis of martial law. This is the P.O.C. They engage in murder together while you're committing a sex offense. That's the P.O.C. Alrighty, that's the population that's obsessed with me, that is stalking, that is mentally ill, that has conspired murder. And the entities in doing this while they are stalking with a fake sun, and that ongoing maintenance of that light activity is speaking to stalkers that are monitoring via aerial surveillance, which is psychotic, monitoring with impossible light, which is psychotic, monitoring under a fake sun that moves and remains over me, which is psychotic. See? She's going to be federally prosecuted for that. Criminal facilitation, just loitering, stalking in the path while a bunch of demons are targeting with her. You sit there, and then we're just going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's that cooperative conduct. P.O.C. It is currently 9:16 a.m. Satan doesn't have a race, okay? That's no sister of mine, that's a creature. That's a P.O.C. Path, pacing. 6 Victor Nancy Robert, 039, 9 Frank Nancy Thomas, 093, 7 SUN 126, 05336 David 4, 9 KUJ 667, I believe. Under the fake sun, you see the mentally ill pattern. They're pacing under the fake sun and under the guise of construction, doing something, with a purpose, doing something important. This is psychopathic stalking with light. This is what Securitas is doing under the fake sun at the library, okay? These are demons. And they're stalking under the fake sun. And the entity's engaging in this with the military that is flying over the top of my head at the facilitating venue where the people of the state are molesting with impossible light. The entity and every corporation is being prosecuted as sex offenders at 1458. The military, while the fake sun is over 1458, this is your prosecution, people of the state, and the military is flying over my head at 1458, doing so while they are targeting, while the rest of the demons are facilitating activity. This is facilitation, and you are going to prison, all right? 1506 is what I documented last night. These are demons, stalking with Amazon, hostile demons that engage in that. License 9KAV925. And the demons inside of the venue on what is 6th Street and Euclid Avenue under the fake sun, which is over me in the evening as well, coming from an entire city that keeps the fake sun, including at this time, after 10 o'clock, over the top of my head until the library closes. This is the entity that's engaging what is serial stalking by virtue of place of residence, in concert with sex offenders that are stalking me on the roads and the highways. Sharing in sexual violence, sharing in mentally ill behavior, which you need to recognize and always remember that Amazon Prime is taking a leading role in, and Amazon Prime is going to be one of the first to be prosecuted as a sex offender and a terrorist as a corporate entity. The entity is engaging in this while they are doing so under the fake sun, and like I documented via podcast yesterday, this is where the entity is serially stalking, doing so targeting me by aerial surveillance, monitoring via aerial surveillance, which is not only criminal, it's psychopathic. You are going to prison while I'm subject to that, and I'm subject to the pattern of conduct where you are in that environment and you've been exposed in the first place. These are demons, these are terrorists and sex offenders that are co-conspirators of murder and thought that you would never know, and thought that they had the protection with you would never know because it's in the place where they are clearly identified and documented as a third-party facilitating venue. No privacy rights, no private property. And this is the basis of prison. This is the P.O.C. And this is co-conspirators of murder while the military is stalking me where you live. Be prepared to go to prison. You are going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:09 a.m. Alrighty, this is a serial stalker in the van. This old white man, he walks with a hunchback, serially stalking at Upland Public Library. He's going to prison. 227 Uncle David with the handicap plate. He is stalking in the library under the fake sun, and he's stalking at 7-Eleven while the fake sun is not already at the library. He is engaging in that pattern of conduct, which is speaking to the personal investment that the demons have while they are stalking as an entity with West Coast Arborists. He's been engaged in stalking for years. He's going to prison. All right, and the fake sun's not over the Upland Public Library, where the library, again, that venue is prosecuting the gang stalkers that are following me outside of that venue as well. The sun would not be at the same Methodist church where I'm walking after 7 p.m., 6 p.m., 5 p.m. in the afternoon when I leave at 2 and 3. This is the entity that's stalking. He's a serial stalker. He is going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:33 a.m. License plate 9KBD375. Stalking license 35510X3. This is psychopathic pacing. This is what they do via aerial surveillance. 8BPA307. This is the people of the state in Upland, the city of Upland, that's being prosecuted. And this is facilitation by the city of Upland, stalking with light activity. This is what Securitas is doing at the Ontario Civic Center. P.O.C. It is 10:33 a.m. All right, this is surveillance by a commercial actor that is engaging in what is the retaliatory conduct of the demons or creatures, engaging in gang stalking me as I document them. He is sitting in the vehicle, and he is representing a heavily documented third-party co-conspirator, Spectrum, in relevant position to monitor my vagina inside of this library, and also where the entity will then have the fake sun still here prosecuting Spectrum. Also, because Spectrum is also gang stalking me in Los Angeles. Spectrum is already prosecuted, as is everybody else, but you're talking about very foolish conduct, what they engage in. The entity has a fake sun over me at this same location where I'm sitting right here where the blinds are, where the demons are pacing all around on the inside, where the sun is not already over the building, where it's remaining over me as I'm approaching the building, where Spectrum is stalking in the path, and Spectrum's criminal engagement is retaliatory retaliatory under the law because they are a documented terrorist on the YouTube channel where the prosecution is provided publicly for the world to witness. And Spectrum, pursuant to monitoring, is engaging what is targeting me as I publish that playlist, which will, as you can see, continue to grow. The entity is keeping this fake sun. It's 10:37 a.m. The entity has the fake sun over me at this building when I walk out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when I'm inside and I'm talking to Adam Tuckerman, who's going to prison, and the fake sun is still over this roof. And this is how you're recognizing targeting. And the company is targeting. This is the P.O.C, and you will also recognize it while at Demon, representing a company. All the demons of other corporate actors are massively facilitating, and Spectrum comes. These are demons while they're hiding behind company names. This is literally demons who are engaging in what is targeting me, which they are satiated by, even when it serves no purpose. Okay, nothing. The only thing that's being satiated is their psychopathic obsession with me, and that is to monitor me while I document it. Okay, the fake sun remains over me as I walk away, which is prosecuting Spectrum. Literally the entity that is in that environment, and Spectrum is that is the evidence, even to a scientific degree, that Spectrum and the person operating that vehicle, that company, thereby represented, is targeting me specifically. Not that demon that's going to prison, the serial stalker that's walking in the opposite direction, that is under the fake sun, while he is stalking me in this same grassy area after 6 p.m. as well. He is targeting with Spectrum, and Spectrum is going to be prosecuted because Spectrum has deep pockets to exhaust for conspiring the murder of an American citizen that is documenting it. West Coast Arborist, same analysis. This is the P.O.C. This is the fake sun that now is walking in the direction that I'm going north, as opposed to going east on that street. That is the evidence that prosecuting Spectrum, who's engaged in vagina monitoring. They're engaged in criminal surveillance to murder people. They're engaging in what is the services that they provide keep you under surveillance. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:38 a.m. It is 10:47 a.m. and I want to document, hold on, the entity that's engaging in what is threatening in any manner is doing that as an entity that is going to serve the consequences for that. So the one that I referred to, I documented as a quote-unquote white boy, is under the fake sun in the afternoon when he's engaging in targeting me with the military using helicopter activity under the fake sun. And what is 10:47 a.m. That's on the record already, the time, the date, the status of the venue, and also targeting with West Coast Arborists, targeting with Spectrum, targeting with the police, ambulance. This third party is going to prison, and all of the people in the state are sharing in that criminal activity, but serial stalkers are going to federal prison, meaning the federal government is looking at your face over and over and over again. You're standing out and you're going to prison for that. But nonetheless, this is the particular one that engaged in stalking me. Remember, they're monitoring, so they're stalking inside of the building. They're following you around inside of the building, and they are doing so in the afternoon, where this same third party is sitting where they're all monitoring me, where it's typically I'm situated, and it is based on that. Oh, she typically goes to the bathroom at this time. She typically uses this bathroom stall. She typically wipes in this direction. She typically washes her hands and rinses for this long. This many times is how many. This is the level of monitoring that sex offenders that are stalking with the entity using helicopters engage in. And so you are engaging in threatening while you're sitting where I'm sitting, and he's going to prison for it. That's the entity that's engaged in that, and that is the entity that's going to be relevant. All the malice relevant to engaging in that conduct is the way in which they're going to be prosecuted for it. This is the entity that's engaging, and I just want to be clear, the entity that's gang stalking like they have nothing to live for is the entity that's a threat to national security. All right, those are the same ones that engage in blowing themselves up, crashing planes and helicopters, killing themselves and other people. This is the same thing that you're witnessing while they're gang stalking, and the criminal system, the existence of it, the way they're doing it, who all is engaging in it, the way in which they're engaging in what you are necessarily aware of, what your mindset must be at to engage in it is all understood while they're engaging in it in front of the world, witnesses, okay? This is the entity that's engaging in that and coming in, communicating that unlawful threat, while you are also hostile because you know that you're being documented, and so you decide to, for example, bear a weapon and stand in the face of somebody that you're threatening. This is the entity that's engaged in monitoring, and conspicuously so. That's relevant for how long you're going to prison. I'm spelling that out to understand the demented mind state of those that are not engaged in any actual bullying. These are suicidal stalkers. and they're going to be committed and prosecuted for their mental instability while they are also stalking other people. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:49 a.m. in Upland Public Library. The city of Upland is communicating a threat while a third-party bum is stalking inside of the library, engaging in targeting with the demons by helicopter, just like you saw at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library this morning under the fake sun that followed me to this venue. It does not get any more it doesn't get any more clear and concrete than that. All right, this is perfect clarification regarding the beyond a reasonable doubt. This is to a scientific degree of guilt. We're at what is establishing legislation and also the diagnosis of those that is occurring at the same time while they're being documented for criminal activity for which they're going to be held accountable criminally and civilly. All right, this is P.O.C. It's currently 10:50 a.m. while the entity that is obsessed is stalking in these manners. P.O.C. The entity is stalking by helicopter right now, and Dr. Alexis Solis, gang stalker at the Ontario Veterinary Hospital, as well as Adam Wright, okay, one that is a gang stalker at the Ontario Veterinary Hospital, while I'm under surveillance and I'm researching the third parties that are going to be given a specific means of identifying for purposes of federal prison for this very pattern of conduct. Under the fake sun, where the entity is engaging in surveillance in Upland, California, where the Ontario Veterinary Hospital is gang stalking in Ontario under a fake. And I'm subject to terrorism by amplified helicopter activity, and the fake sun is the evidence of that fact. The entity is amplifying helicopter activity while keeping me under surveillance in the same manner that I documented this morning while on Facebook, documenting the corporate entity, and the entity is on camera stalking in a black helicopter, incriminating all of those corporate actors, including the Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartment Complex, the John Stewart Company. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and you are being prosecuted as an entity when you are being documented by the targeted individual, and that targeted individual documents real-time terrorism, such as the entity stalking me by helicopter, as is also documented here at the Upland Public Library. It is currently 12:15 p.m. This is documentation of the domestic terrorist Ontario Veterinary Hospital located at 121 East E Street in Ontario, California, that is engaged in federal stalking with the government, the military that is stalking me, and also terrorizing and harassing and threatening me, while its co-conspirator, the Ontario Veterinary Hospital, a gang stalking establishment, and gang stalkers that are working and operating that entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. And this is why, upon researching a gang stalker, I am subject to ongoing terrorism in real time. This is the P.O.C., and this is understanding federal stalking, gang stalking that's occurring in relevant position. They're all engaging in surveillance, and they're psychopaths engaging in the P.O.C., also in a field that they're unfit to be in, wanting to appear on the surface as compassionate lovers of animals, while they're engaging in the psychopathic pattern of conduct of criminal monitoring, vagina monitoring, which is speaking to that which is unfit and inhumane. All right, the entities engaging in this while they're maintaining all manner of surveillance inside of this venue. This is not sunlight, it's engineer light, and it's also still here in the afternoon and into the evening when I exit the venue. This is the P.O.C. Alrighty, and Spectrum that I documented that's engaging in the pattern of conduct is engaging in that pattern of conduct while the entity is sharing in that specific environment, which I showed you while I'm standing outside. The fake sun is remaining over me where Spectrum is stalking in the path. And that's exactly the targeting conduct that the corporate actors are engaging in. This is P.O.C. This is documentation against the veterinary hospital. And I do not have to be at that veterinary hospital in order to prosecute them. This is relevant to surveillance on the internet, which the entity that is gang stalking is maintaining and incriminating itself. This is the basis of federal prison. It's 12:16 p.m. P.O.C. It is currently 1:50 p.m. So I want to make sure I specifically include in the evidence against the defendants going to prison, gang stalking with the city of Upland, and specifically every employee of the Upland Public Library, which includes and is not limited to Ashley, Brianna, Kiki, Carissa, Elizabeth, whose license plate is 9 Xavier Frank George 496, Alan, Adam Tuckerman, Alyssa, and Alicia, or Alyssa if it's pronounced the same way. We've got 2 Alyssas though, it looks like. Anthony, whose license plate is 7 Victor George Yolanda 971, Joy, Sheena, Laura, Marty, and the elderly female that engages in pushing a lot of shopping carts. I believe she's gang stalking via Friends of the Library. The amplified door closure that you hear in the background is what the entity is using to stalk my physical movement. That is monitoring. Stalking with light and stalking with noise is a demon that's monitoring you. The entity is doing so with every move that I'm physically making, and these employees and more are all going to prison for it. It's called psychological torture while they are gang stalking with the government that is stalking by helicopter this morning in Ontario and in Upland. They are going to federal prison. They are under the fake sun at 1:51 p.m., and I'll even capture an image of that in real time, which is the evidence proving that they are in fact stalking me with noise as well, because that's the purpose of the fake sun. All right, they are exhibiting mental illness, so these employees are going to be subject to what is being treated as patients being committed, and this is the evidence speaking to their need for being committed while they're engaging in that as a population under a fake sun. This is the public corruption that is speaking to a mentally ill population that is targeting me inside of the Upland Public Library. That fake sun is captured at 1:52 p.m. in real time. This is documentation of what is harassment, psychological torture, which is a basis to imprison a group of defendants that are gang stalking with the government. And they are doing so while you also know that they are, as a group, keeping my vagina under surveillance. And you're going to prison for that as well. The entity is a sex offender in order to psychologically torture you, traumatize you, humiliate you, violate you before they murder you. Alrighty? You're going to prison for that. This is the P.O.C. It's 1:52 p.m. And there is a PDF that will be uploaded so you can see the images of these terrorists who are, again, mentally ill by virtue of their continuous engagement in that pattern of conduct. Not just the pattern of conduct, but that they're still doing it, and you're going to prison for it. So any judge in the court is going to ask, so why did you continue after you were documented in June of 2022? Why did you continue in 2000? These are the questions that is going to result in them being committed. This is the P.O.C. It's 1:53 p.m. All right, it is currently 2:14 p.m. and in the images you will see her name is Joy. She appears to be an Asian female. I was going to say Asian American, but she's not an American. She's gang stalking, but she seems to be of Asian descent. And these are the terms that we typically use to describe people in order to understand who you're describing, who you're discussing. These are stalkers that are surrounding their physical attention to the computers. They are all stalking me. And they move around the computers, they walk up and down the stairs, they move around in the building, they open and close doors, which is all amplified in volume. So while I'm listening to content, the entity is engaging what is stalking with amplified audible activity, not helicopter, but door slamming. So the demons are going in and out of the Brody room. I did supply a map so you can see the entity that's pacing in and out of the restrooms, pacing in and out of the employee access doors, where the gang stalkers are going in and out of the Brody room. They're going in and out of the surrounding locations inside of the library, all of which is designed to stalk me with noise, while the people of the state are provided a forum to help Joy, who you will see. Impossible light is all over the wall, okay? And it's 2:14. What Spectrum is doing under the fake sun that's over the same position is what Joy is doing hours later, and that's the criminal pattern of conduct that a corporate entity is engaging in with the public entity, as Joy is a state actor employed inside of the public venue that is the city of Upland Public Library, that is stalking now with the amplified noise of sirens. Joy's going to prison. Okay, so this is what you'll see in the images at 2:14 p.m. The entity sounding sirens is Joy's ongoing criminal prosecution, and also the fact of her severe need of what is mental examinations, which is she's going to be forcibly subject to. She's engaged in psychopathic pacing. She's engaged in what is stalking me with amplified audible activity. She's engaged in stalking inside of a building, which is deranged, stalking period, but stalking me inside of a building with a whole government in furtherance of murdering me. And she's also a closeted homosexual, keeping my genitalia under surveillance. And she engages in more violence, like what you just heard, criminal summoning, while she is documented, which any person is going to enforce their rights against a maniacal psychopath and a violent sex offender like Joy, who is currently employed by the state. Okay, she is going to prison by virtue of also the level of facilitation, where she's engaging in criminal activity with the population that comes into the venue. And you will see the fake sun over the top of my head, while you will see Joy in relevant position inside of the building, and you will see engineer light, which is evidence against Joy. And as I prosecute Joy, even in this description, everybody else inside of the building is also prosecuted. Everybody else in the city that's doing nothing other than pacing around pursuant to audible activity, which what you just heard moments ago is sirens, while COLLIN SHEEHY is going to lose his position as a gang stalker. a co-conspirator of murder, equally deranged, okay? The entity is engaging what is stalking using fire trucks, stalking using ambulances, stalking using police vehicles, and obsessed with my every move. Stalking with noise, which they're doing also with children. Joy is going to prison because she's engaging in terrorism with children, okay? She is a very specific type of terrorist and threat to the public, and if she is not a natural-born citizen, she will be deported after she serves mandatory time in federal prison, and that is the policy for every gang stalker. All right, this is reflected in the images and the PDF, which also provides a map where you can see all the doorways are where demons, terrorists, sex offenders, stalkers like Joy are engaging and pacing incessantly, monitoring me. And this is that supernatural pattern of conduct, because Joy does not speak to me, Joy does not look at me, but Joy is monitoring me, and Joy is monitoring and acting in furtherance of my murder in doing so. And Joy is going to prison for it. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 2:18 p.m. This is the entity that is under the fake sun. That is what Spectrum is doing outside. So understand how I'm prosecuting Spectrum while hours later Joy is at the same location. The fake sun is over the same corner of the building where I'm documenting the corporate actor keeping me under surveillance, which is a whole population outside of this library that Joy is targeting me with. You're going to prison. Joy is a terrorist when you're understanding numerosity, when you're understanding the entity monitoring my vagina with Joy while she's inside of a building, pacing like somebody that's in severe need of a straitjacket, which is exactly where she's headed while she's been engaged in this for years. This is the entity that's going to be treated like the unstable predators that they are proving themselves to be, that they have proven themselves to be. Okay, this is the P.O.C. and this is the evidence providing for what is fully supported policies with evidence. It's 2:19 p.m. Okay, as a matter of criminal surveillance, federal stalking, the Open Public Library, which is the facilitating venue where I am inside, and this is an entity that's engaged in federal stalking surveillance on my device and on the internet, and the entity is engaging in what is keeping evidence against itself under surveillance. So the entity is monitoring all the videos that I documented today. They are currently uploading to YouTube. This is the entity that is gang stalking me and keeping that evidence on the internet, on the platform YouTube, where the criminal case against this entity is under surveillance. And you literally heard the sirens, which is proof of them engaging in an unlawful interference in a federal case against itself. COLLIN, he's going to be prosecuted for that. This is how straightforward the prosecution is of the demons monitoring. It's federal stalking under Title 18. It is audible activity in the engineered environment pursuant to monitoring, which directly affects and impacts what is your devices, and it's an unlawful search. And it is in violation of the current federal stalking statute. That's the significance of the environment and demons like that are operating Spectrum vehicles, operating their devices while that light source remains over you, while pacing remains around you, and while stalking with noise is maintained. This is the entity that is engaging in surveillance, and it is federal stalking under the law while you are understanding the demonic activity that surrounds you, and that is psychological torture pursuant to federal stalking, which is committed in furtherance of murder. And this is all state action. The entities engage in what is also monitoring the evidence that I'm publishing on YouTube as of May 15, 2026. So this is everything that I'm working on that they are keeping under surveillance, and they're engaging in psychopathic behavior as hostile predators, stalkers, and the amplified audible activity is supposed to be like a means of punishing me, stalking with louder noise. We get louder, we get ruder, we get scarier as you document and as you publish. The entity is engaging in criminal activity that's going to have them committed and put in prison. And by them, it's a very specific list of defendants. It is starting with every employee of the Open Public Library. It is including every serial stalker, number one. Number two, the entity is surrounded with evidence of all the state actors. The Upland City Hall is engaging in every criminal act that is underway, and I am not maintaining this investigation by myself. By the way, this evidence is supplemented by what the federal government is also keeping under surveillance while this entity is keeping me under surveillance. Moreover, the entity is engaging in that which is relevant to the greater pattern of conduct which is underway as I am capturing it from day to day. So on Sunday and on Wednesday when I remain in Ontario, you're mindful of the probative value of what you see Joy standing in and the significance of what she's doing while she's even moving around, while you hear sirens as I describe that to you. And I'm in Upland, California, inside of that library. This is relevant to what is federal stalking, and they're going to prison for federal stalking, period. Remember, this is more than federal stalking. This is gang stalking, which is my ability to let you know that gang stalking is accomplishing federal stalking. And I've broken that system down, how you know and how you can recognize surveillance by, moreover, a public entity and a population while they're engaging in demonic activity, which is pursuant to stalking. That is surveillance by this deranged population. And while they're engaging in gang stalking, it is federal stalking. And it is also occurring on your devices, and it's occurring on the internet pursuant to what is an unlawful, and since it is the gang stalking, which is demonic, it is inhumane that the entity is engaging in surveillance in this manner. This is P.O.C. I want to make sure that I include that. The employees are going to prison under all circumstances. Okay, this is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 5:13 p.m. and the fake sun remains over the Upland Public Library, pursuant to surveillance that the city of Upland is maintaining inside of the library in concert with those under the age of majority. And these are terrorists who are going to federal prison for gang stalking with minors, number one. Number two, this is the entity that is engaging in psychopathic pacing. So these are demons that are maintaining an ongoing rhythm of activity pursuant to stalking, monitoring, obsessively stalking with activity as I'm inside of the building. And this is chiefly through the ongoing maintenance of door closures, which is amplified in volume. All right, the entity, here you go. I'm going to put this here. Is this okay? Do you work here?
Yeah, but I don't work like on the front.
Okay, I'm just gonna.
Know that you dropped it off.
Thank you. This conversation's under the fake sun. Alyssa is stalking. All right, she's doing so under the fake sun. I'm gonna take a picture of that right now. And Alyssa is also monitoring my vagina with the same knowledge of what's going on between my legs. Okay, she is a sex offender. She is a gang stalker. She's a sex offender engaging in that with demons of the male gender as well. Okay, they're in here vagina monitoring and trying to duck and dodge what is documentation that they're also keeping under surveillance. They're going to be going to prison. Alrighty, and the entity's engaging in this under a fake sun that is after 5:14 p.m. The entity's engaging in pacing, so coming out of the male restroom, getting on the elevator, coming out of the Brody room, coming out of the door. This is what Sheena and Alyssa are doing, pacing in and out as I take pictures of it right now. They're all doing the same thing. The technical services employees only door. These are employees that are gang stalking. Only the employees have access to that door, and those that are volunteering are classified as employees. Those that are under the age of majority are subject to prison. So the entity is pacing in and out of these doors, and this is what Alyssa is doing while she is monitoring me while I'm on the opposite side of the building. So the door closure is also amplified in volume. Alyssa is a demon who is also able to engage in stalk me. That is close the door, which is extraordinarily loud. And when they know that they're being recorded, that amplification is much more subtle. In fact, when I'm looking at the demons, they don't even make any noises with the doors, especially when I make it a point to speak to their mental illness, which is exhibited while they're stalking with the amplified sound of door closures, door slammings. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct. The fact that the entity has a fake sun, the engineer light, stalking by planes and helicopters is already establishing that none of this is made up. And I'm pointing out everything that Alyssa won't tell you, such as the fact that she's a lesbian, she's a demon, and she's monitoring another woman's vagina. And that's what she's doing, and that's what she's admitting when she's stalking me with audible activity while walking in a building, stalking a whole other person, which is not the behavior of a human, that's the behavior of a creature. Okay, and she shares that behavior with everybody else in the building. These are clowns that are under a fake sun, and they're all in the evidence, just sitting there marinating, and they will be going, and they will be federally prosecuted for it, and all the employees are going to prison. So just want to document this is psychotic. They get up, they stand up, they sit down, they open and close doors, they walk in and out of doorways, they enter and exit the library, they walk up and down the stairs pursuant to what I am doing. All right, these are the creatures that fill a building. It's like watching ants that are in a line and they're all engaging in that. This is what the demons are doing. And it's all centered on me. And the fake sun leaves as I leave in the evening. And this is pointing to the criminal prosecution of Spectrum engaging in surveillance this morning. And Spectrum is engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murder and psychological torture and sexual violence, which is also relevant to retaliation. Another means of recovering from this terrorist that is a corporate entity that is monitoring my evidence. And this incentivizes this terrorist to target me in a Spectrum vehicle. Okay, my Spectrum playlist is published. And this is the pattern of conduct by the psychopaths that are gang stalking, including under company names. This is P.O.C. It's currently 5:17 p.m. This is Upland Police stalking. License 1661950. 1661950. That's federal prison. That's a male. Looks like a short buzz haircut. Is gang stalking. All right. His partners are gang stalking me at the Upland Public Library. The Upland Public Library, which is right here. And Upland police are demons. They're creatures stalking with noise. Coming out of the gang stalking venue where I showed you Impossible Light, which is moving across the venue right now. Upland police are stalking just like the rest of them, maintaining activity under a fake sun. It is 5:27. The fake sun remained over the library that Spectrum is under as it's approaching over my head. And as I walk away from the same library, it's remaining over me, where Upland police are engaging in surveillance as mentally ill, an agency conspiring murder, stalking with the people of the state in furtherance of murder, having committed kidnapping as well with all the defendants that are going to prison at the Upland Public Library. This is P.O.C. All right, and this is the disbanding of a police department that's engaging in what is actually criminal surveillance, where you are shown to be engaging in terrorism and not policing. You're going to be immediately relieved of your position as a terrorist. You will not be receiving any final paycheck, and you are permanently done with law enforcement, and you will be prosecuted as a terrorist. Those that are gang stalking like Landivar on this same street during the 8 a.m. hour are going to federal prison. All right, I document your license, I document your information. You're conspicuously stalking, you're going to prison. This is where the entity is also stalking by helicopter, which is more context regarding what the Upland police are doing with the whole population, not engaging in law enforcement, but sharing in criminal activity as the mentally ill population. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:28 p.m. at the Upland First United Methodist Church, where the fake sun is moving away from the building over me. All right, that's the P.O.C. Alrighty, that Upland Police Department is being disbanded and he is going to federal prison. This is the entity that was stalking by helicopter at the Ovid Library, monitoring on the internet, license 9TQJ015. The employees at 7-Eleven, they're already going to prison. 8RXT247, she's going to prison. License 7TGN136, looks like a female, that's federal prison. The entity is engaged in the P.O.C. while they are monitoring the evidence. All right, this is a pattern. This is what they were doing inside of the library this morning as well. This is an entity that is very much suicidal. Understand that these demons that are being exposed and are engaging in criminal activity before the world, not mysteriously, not in any way where they're going to deny it in court. This is the entity that is engaging in what is harming themselves as well as other people, okay? This is the entity that's engaging in that while they are engaged in the conspiracy to murder, while the entities in pattern of conduct together. License 8NWF071. License 47976 Charlie 3, 7LEV881. All right, in front of what is the allure image, many defendants with regard to prison. Okay, I'm documenting license plates, the demons inside, and 7-Eleven, they've engaged in poison with the entity that's stalking by helicopter. They're all going to prison. And I just left the venue where they're stalking inside of the Upland Public Library. Alyssa is a lesbian monitoring my vagina with the military that is stalking by helicopter under a fake sun, where West Coast arborists are here stalking, not engaging in legitimate conduct that the city of Upland hires them to do to keep me under surveillance. That's a prosecution against every company. It's a prosecution against Bill Velto. He's going to prison. I don't think he realizes this, but these are demons. They're going to prison. This is what this spells. The entity stalking me by helicopter in your city, and you're going to prison having committed kidnapping and criminal defamation. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 5:32 p.m. The demon that's in the Upland police vehicle, he's going to federal prison. That's the P.O.C. You're not going to threaten my life because I'm documenting you stalking me. In fact, you're going to prison for that. This is the entity that's engaged in this together. I want you to watch the fake sun move over me while I go document this demon. That's going to prison. Landivar is stalking on the same street. He's going to federal prison. License 1441348. These are the demons engaging in that terrorism. It's vehicle 2. Take a good look at Satan. Thank you. He's got the fake sun. West Coast arborists are gang stalking with the same city of Upland. This is surveillance. License 1441348. That's mental illness. So is the people of the state. License 9NHY396. These are the demons that engage in criminal conduct of this nature when they're committing murder. Okay? Well, they have been forced to do it in front of all of you, and you're seeing what is bare bones, mentally ill, psychopathic behavior. Demons under the fake sun. This is the P.O.C. It is current. This is speaking to Marcelo Blanco. He's going to prison. So is Darren Goodman. Darren Goodman's going to federal prison. This is the P.O.C. They engaged in targeting me for years and kidnapping me with the gang stalkers of the Upland Police, and you're looking at them overtly engaged in that. This is my case against every single one of them for terrorism and that agency that's being disbanded, just like Ontario Police and Darren Goodman, these terrorist leaders, and those that I document are going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's 5:33 p.m. at 188 North Euclid Avenue, at 204 North Euclid Avenue, the 7-Eleven that's engaged in poisoning me, and you just saw a terrorist look you dead in the face. Well, they're looking at the camera. They're looking at you dead in the face while they're caught being engaging in gang stalking. A stone cold face is not evidence of innocence or ignorance about who I am. These are demons. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:33 p.m. Alrighty, that evidence that you're looking at, that's the evidence that's putting demons that are gang stalking at fake churches. Guess where they're going? Because guess what they're doing? And guess what the government establishes before I even step foot over there? They are going to prison. You have what are, you're going from playing games in life, playing fake Christians and harassing people, to what is terrorism, and you're going to prison for that, while the fake son follows me down the same street that it was following me as I walked up the street this morning. And the entity that is gang stalking, such as Alyssa and Sheena, monitoring my vagina in the women's restroom under a fake sun that remained, where Spectrum is under the same light source that's remaining over me that the Upland Police Department are along the same street. And this is, again, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 hours regarding that duration of time. And you're looking at the face, you can see the video, you're looking at the face of a demon, a psychopath, a stalker, a sex offender who's obsessed with my vagina. You're looking at the face of Satan that has possessed a person that's engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct. All right, this is P.O.C. These are that are driving right in again, engaging what is targeting by blocking my path, gang stalking under the fake sun. This is the entity that's going to be subject to prison. She's right under the fake sun. She sees me. These are psychos. All right, these are psychos. She's stalking under the fake sun, drives right into the middle of the walkway. This is a pattern while they're monitoring. They don't have car accidents. That's prison. They're stalking with the police. That's federal prison. All right, this is the P.O.C. These are demons that engage. I'm taking pictures of right now what I'm describing. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and what you're looking at is the entity that is staring at the camera, because I want you to study the faces of the mentally ill, and their mental illness is attributed to what is demon possession. That is psychopathic conduct. The entity stalking in a helicopter and the Upland Police together in the same video, less than 5 minutes after leaving the Upland Public Library, where the fake son sat for over 7 hours. Okay, this is an entity that is engaging that at the Ovid Family Community Library this morning, while the entity that is indeed mentally ill, that is keeping their own prosecution and exposure as a demonic population that consumes the flesh of human beings, that consumes the feces. They pray to Satan over my bodily fluids, while they are under the false impression that they are putting any kind of spell over me. These are demons that are engaging in criminal activity that is mentally deranged, and this is relevant to that fake son that remains over me while they worship me. Their worship is in the form of stalking me, and Spectrum is stalking, and so is the Upland Police, and so is the military in that helicopter. Alyssa does not have a chance in court. She's going to federal prison. In fact, she's already in court, and she's being federally prosecuted, proven beyond a reasonable doubt to a scientific degree under that fake son, where the military and the police and the people of the state testify against her regarding her having any basis to plead that she is not guilty. It's already been proven that she is indeed guilty, and she's going to prison for terrorism. All right, that's the P.O.C. The entity is engaging in that, and that's relevant to exactly what I stated in that video. Marcelo Blanco is going to federal prison. He's going to federal prison, stalking an American citizen and maintaining a pattern of conduct as an agency. That's a terrorist leader, and terrorist leaders in the United States for domestic terrorism and furtherance of my murder. Remember, this entity that's stalking has engaged in attempted murder on more than one occasion, and they're stalking me overtly, openly, over the 7-Eleven, where full of defendants that poison my food, under the fake sun, which is the clear identification that the pattern of conduct is underway, and they're doing that while you are witnessing it. I put it on video. These demons that are suicidal want you to witness their sacrifice, because they've murdered themselves. These are the ones that are cursed. They've cursed themselves, and they have lost their mind already. These are not sane, and this is a basis for me to recover because of the clear mental instability of my stalker that is the United States government, and none of this is made up. The entity that is this black female that's engaged in what is keeping her head looking one direction,
which is negligent driving in the first place. And this is how you're also aware because the fake sun is there, so you already know that she's there, but you're also looking at, as I'm taking pictures, she's intentionally keeping her head the opposite direction. These are the demons, the females that wish that they could switch genitalia with me. They wish that they could wear my skin. They wish that they could have my hair follicles, my nail beds, my cuticles. They wish that they could literally consume all of my saliva. They worship me and they're stalking under a fake sun, and they're even envious as I prosecute them. Because these aren't humans, these are demons. And she's worshiping by being in violation of what is the rules on the road, the laws of the road, driving into the space negligently and keeping her head in one direction while she's monitoring. She's blocking the path. This is the same combination of facts where the entity does not, I'm telling you, under the fake sun, there's no car accidents. They don't accidentally hit people. This is what LAPD is doing with regard to a target in Los Angeles on the skateboard, where the entity is engaging what is intentionally hitting someone that they target that they knew routinely gets on a skateboard in the middle of the street. And that is supposed to appear, in addition to those demons turning on their sirens, as an unfortunate, tragic accident, while the LAP nevertheless is engaged in what is the execution of the duties of an officer. And they're not engaging in that. They're not officers. They're gang stalkers, just like Upland Police, under the fake sun, keeping everyone under surveillance, sharing in surveillance. And that was a murder on a skateboard on the roads and the highways where surveillance is underway in California. That is taking the form of maliciously blocking my path where I have the right of way, where you're supposed to come to a complete stop, and you're not supposed to be blocking where the pedestrians are able to go, where you stopping in the road. These are demons that are stalking on the roads. They're stalking on the roads and the highways. That's an inherent threat to your life. All right. And the entity is engaging in this, which is a means of harassing. You worship me and you worship my vagina. These are closeted lesbians. All right. And you worship me. You know exactly who I am. This is an entity that smells my spirit around the corner. They're demons monitoring me. She worships me and she is waiting for the opportunity to encounter me by merely harassing. It's an act of worship. And that's what's so pathetic when she is engaging in what you can clearly identify, failing to turn her head, because that would be the means whereby she's acknowledging my presence. And she is stalking, but she doesn't want to acknowledge that she's stalking me by looking at me. I'm just breaking that down psychologically. It's very pathetic. These are demons that are stalking and they're obsessed with me, and they are embarrassed by it. When they look in the mirror, they are also humiliated by the truth that I expose about them while they're stalking and obsessed with me. They're doing it in a helicopter. And when the entity is stalking me by helicopter, you already know that she knows that I'm there. Okay, I'm hitting on various points right now because this is an entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. All right, and Upland Police just engaged in it conspicuously, and they're going to prison. All right, the entity maintained a yard sale at Olive in Euclid this morning. That same location, the fake sun is over me. All right, this is at 294 Euclid Avenue. The people of the state. All right, and gang stalking is SALLARY, the one that's stalking by helicopter, as I document him. He's sitting on the side of the road and now backing up. He's going to prison. He's going to federal prison. He's monitoring while the fake sun is in alignment to me with the Upland Police Department, with the entity that's stalking by helicopter. And the entity is on more than one occasion targeting me while I document this serial stalker who is engaging in the P.O.C. on the roads and the highways, and the military just engaged in stalking by helicopter. So you already know that license SALLARY is engaging in that pattern of conduct. He is going to prison. He and whoever else lives there over 18, his wife, his gay lover, whatever it is, they're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. All right, and he uses getting out of his vehicle to go to the car to stalk and monitor me. These are demons that worship me, and they are even worshiping the ways in which I have conclusively prosecuted them. This is the entity that is inferior to me, and understand that, and I'm speaking spiritually. These are demons that are under you are in submission to Christ. And that's all that I'm exhibiting while I'm prosecuting them. These are lower beings. These are creatures. And they are engaging in the ongoing admission to stalking by doing so in a helicopter, by doing so in police vehicles, as I refer to you, under the fake sun, where your partners are going to prison as well. Why do you do that? This is an entity that is obsessed, and they are deluded with that obsession. Willing, sending themselves to prison to do so. That is not the face of innocence or ignorance. You're looking at that same face that I'm showing you while the entity is stalking me by helicopter, and that Latino male at Harvard and Euclid is staring at the camera while I'm describing him in very serious manners. You have sex with babies, you consume their feces, you're engaged in terrorism, you're a horrible person, and you're looking at, you're staring dead at my camera, unfazed, okay? That's as that's as deranged as laughing, like what the demon Tracy Banks does. It's not funny either, but it's also nothing that you're just going to stare at the camera about. This is an entity that's very much familiar with what I know about them and what I expose about them. And what else is known is that every single last one that shows their identity by staring at my camera, they're going to prison. All right? This is the entity that's engaging in that, and I want to be clear. This is the entity that is going to federal prison based on the years that they've been engaged in trying to kill me. There is no excess or no limit with regard to how many bodies are going to serve time in federal prison. This entity has been engaging in trying to murder me for years while stealing an abundance of wealth from me. And then gang stalking me and trying to treat me as though I'm some poor little bum on the street. These are the demons that worship me. Worship me. I'm a licensed attorney. Okay, you can't even with your eyes closed. You've never been out of the hood. You've never been out of Rialto. Okay, you're talking about you steal food stamps. All right, the reason why you have money and you're in a BMW is because you have sex with people and you keep that a secret. All right, and this is an entity that you expose your body parts on the internet and you don't even have not that that's a good idea, even if you have a beautiful body, but you don't even have that and you're selling it. And you're envious of me because I don't do that. And I would not do that whether I have the package or not. I would not be, and I have not. And this entity lied about who they are and who I am. And you know what they were doing while they were lying about my character? Stalking me. Stalking to steal from me. That is what is stalking in a helicopter as I walk outside of the Upland Public Library. Run the tape back because everything that I described about all of the employees of the Open Family Community Library, including Adam Tuckerman, everything that I described about Spectrum, everything that I told you and reminded you about Landivar, who's on that same street at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're all going to prison. All right, the entities engage in this while they lack self-control. Their focus is me, and that is providence for you, because I am telling you the truth about the Nephilim, those that are depicted in movies where you see non-human creatures walking around dead with their hands out, their eyes are closed, you can see their raw flesh, you can see blood, and they're walking around. They eat flesh, they eat other people. That's not fake. That's not fake. That's what's driving UPS vehicles, demons. They're not describing themselves to you with regard to what they actually are. They've put it in an entertaining fashion for you to consume it and be entertained by it, thus them making money off of it. They are admitting to you what they are and what they do. And they are engaging in gang stalking. Gang stalking is a monitoring system. That is a surveillance system where they're not just stalking you from place to place. That's not enough. These are demons that are obsessed. Scores and scores and scores, billions of them that are together stalking one person. Every step that you take, they are monitoring. That's more than following me from one building to the next. That is stalking every step that I take, every direction that I face, every move that I make. Okay? Even when you are inaudibly moving, your heartbeat, your breathing pattern, how often you're blinking. This is what demons, and they are cloaking themselves, meaning they are disguising themselves as the mailman, disguising themselves as being a police department. And this is how surveillance is underway in the United States. They're surveilling them, they are concealing themselves as being the city that has their annual 4th of July parade, and it's a satanic ceremony where they're monitoring. They're monitoring. They're doing it under the fake sun. It's an act of what is worship to Satan. They're all dead. And what you've seen in movies with regard to those that are walking around making weird noises, and you laugh at that because that sounds funny, or it has that as they're depicting themselves. They are dead and they're putting it to you in a comical manner. They consume human flesh. They're putting that to you in an entertaining manner because it's something that you are not going to believe. Certainly nothing that they even depict it as fiction. It's not. It's nonfiction. This is what they are. And they are demons. Okay? Those are demons that are depicted as zombies, walking around with the tissue on. That's an illustration. It's symbolic regarding someone that is dead, wrapped up, mummified, and then they come back to life. That's an illustration regarding the living dead. These are not humans. These are demon-possessed people that are engaging in very highly imprudent conduct pertaining to a federal case for terrorism, unprecedented criminal activity that is proven, not alleged. None of this is hearsay. None of this is alleged. None of it's going to be excluded. It's all being prosecuted. It's already proven, in fact. I'm going to prosecute the government also for what is the ongoing threat to my life, because not only am I subject to the pattern of conduct, but these are the level of instability by dead people who are stalking me. They don't care. Upland police do not care that they're going to prison. That's what I mean by that. You're going to recover for that. They're mentally ill, walking around with guns on their hips, looking for an opportunity to abuse their position, like what the LAPD did, by running over somebody in the middle of the street. And why do you do that? Because it will be presumed that that person has assumed a risk, was negligent, of their own fault. And that's why they were hit by the car. And by moreover, a police officer that has their sirens on, because when the sirens are on, oh man, it's absolutely legitimate, and it is absolutely not. You know that there are no emergencies under the fake sun. You know that LAPD is gang stalking me. Meaning you know that they're engaged in surveillance. You already know that. How was the sun over Alvarado Gardens? You can look it up on my website right now, what they were doing in the specific environment. Because in June of 2024, the fake sun remained over Alvarado Gardens, over my office at 1810 North Alvarado Street, while I'm at work from 8 to 5, and over my apartment, sunrise to sunset, moving from my office to my apartment on the same property. That's where it's set. While the entity had impossible light on the inside of my bedroom, in my living room, in my kitchen, in my hallway, in my spare bedroom, all over the ceiling, monitoring me. What are these demons doing? These are demons. They're dead, including the Upland Police, including the demon that flew over by helicopter, prosecuting the entire city. Okay? These young people inside the Upland Public Library, they're all going to prison. This is how far-reaching and thorough the evidence is. If you're aware of my evidence, and then you are aware of the fact of how thorough my evidence is, but I just want to clarify something. My evidence is not thin, and I'm just trying to strap together, or I have just like one or two really good things, and everything else I'm just trying to strapulate and help you. No. This is a comprehensive, more than that, it's a study beyond an investigation. It is proven, and then it is confirmed over and over and over again for a term of years. The Los Angeles Police Department don't have any emergencies that they're learning about. That's how they engage in surveillance. That's how they commit murder. The target is leaving work at 4:56 p.m., gets off 4 minutes early, is going to turn down Sepulveda, is going to ride their red skateboard like they always do in the middle of the street at Broadway. And this is the entity that's engaging in surveillance, including the people of the state, all the vehicles together that are going to sacrifice another demon. They sacrifice each other. And they also engage in targeting, gang stalking, those that are spiritually gifted, those that walk with Christ, those that are not of this dead population. Okay? And this is the entity that's sitting back and watching, knows exactly who you are, and they're engaging in what is criminal summoning together. It's merely support for what is a murder committed as an entity, the call to the police, that then results in, oh, that's why I'm using my sirens, because we got a call. The people of the state are the ones that are making that call, and they are part of the murder that is executed by virtue of criminal summoning. There are no emergencies under the fake sun. It's all surveillance. Moreover, that is what is surrounding everything. There is nothing other than the P.O.C. underway in Upland. I go out of my way every day and document from the beginning until the end, breaking it down that in order that you may understand. But this is a fully exposed case. When I say you're talking about the entire neighborhood, I've gone to the extent and documented license plates. I documented house numbers. These demons are sitting on the internet watching me publish more and more evidence, while these are demons who are ignorant. They do not learn. They don't gather information. They don't change and adapt. They're creatures, and they engage in the same cycle over and over again while they watch me publish evidence and they realize what I documented against them. It is not until it's far too late, in other words, that they realize what's going to happen. What I was saying from the beginning that they were laughing about, because they're fools, because they're dead. While the entity is stalking me by helicopter at your house. There's an entity that's engaged in that, and because you can't fathom, in your dead mind, you have worms in your head. You're not even human. And you don't understand that the fake sun will put you in prison, right where you stand. This is an entity that's engaging in that criminal activity, and what you saw was the Upland Police joining in the same video evidence while the entity is stalking by helicopter under the fake sun, where the defendants in 7-11 will be standing in a courtroom, all of them, Even ones that I haven't met the manager at 7-Eleven. I haven't met the night shift at 7-Eleven. I haven't met the ones that are working the early morning shift at 6 a.m., at 4 and 3 a.m. And I don't have to. They're all going to prison. They are all going to federal prison. This is an entity that's engaging in that as a population. The P.O.C. already establishes that. So while you want to engage in an act of terrorism against me, that's affecting everybody. Remember, it's impracticable to put a whole population in prison, meaning it's not feasible. It's not realistic. And perhaps that isn't the answer. Because the answer, the solution is your need for Christ Jesus. This is the answer. This is the purpose. Satan is being prosecuted, though, for criminal activity proven with tangible evidence. Satan is not impervious whatsoever. Satan isn't even clever. He's not even an intelligent defendant. All right? But understand, you're talking about federal prison by merely me documenting you. It's terrorism. It is never less than terrorism. The entire street, you're talking about the freedom to do that because it's not a matter of freedom, it's a matter of criminal activity of an extreme nature. I am merely speaking to the fact that you're going to discriminate based on the severity of that criminal activity. You're going to choose amongst defendants, but that is not limiting who is subject to federal prison. Justice is speaking to who is going to federal prison because they're all subject to prison for terrorism. All of them. Every single last one of them. All of them. The entities engage in this conduct and they are ignorant. And these are the casualties of war when you are unfit to ever levy it in the first place. An inferior race that is now outside engaged in suicidal conduct. Just suicide. I don't care that I'm going to prison. I don't care that I'm guilty. I don't care that everybody sees that. I don't care that she's proven right. I don't care that it's going to speak to the lies that this department, the city, the state spoke to and that Tracy Banks spoke to. And when Tracy's convicted, it's speaking to everybody that Tracy Banks acted with and cooperated, everybody that helped her, everybody that testified to that lie with her, everybody that benefited along with her. They're not thinking about all that. They're thinking about their obsession with me. They're inferior creatures. They don't have a strategy. When I say the Upland Police Department is being disbanded, that's exactly what's happening. You put your hands on me, you kidnap me for 1 hour. You're going to prison and that department is being disbanded because you're already a terrorist. The Modesto Police Department in Northern California, they are engaged in terrorism. I don't have to be there to let you know that. I have proven to you the truth of everything that I've told you about the entity that is demonic and the entity that's engaging in surveillance. And I'm letting you know wherever you are in the United States, you are under surveillance. You don't have privacy. And you should be looking at your children. Your children have no privacy. You have no way to protect them in the absence of their privacy, even pertaining to what is sacred regarding their genitalia. Even in your home, even if you bear arms, you can't do anything about it. You are under surveillance. This is an entity that's engaged in that. And I've proven that through the pattern of conduct. What I've gone further and done is I've prosecuted it. You're not impervious to being prosecuted, Satan. You're not invisible. You're not magical. And it is not evidence that's going to be dismissed or excluded. All right. And there certainly is no privilege. There are no immunities whatsoever. It's public corruption. And establishing that is speaking to everything that is up for grabs, meaning you're talking about everything is at question because of what the government claims. Which is a lie. And I want to be clear, the government is lying about everything because it's gang stalking. It's engaging in surveillance. So this is a level, I just want to be clear, these are demons who are fearful. Out of fear, Satan commits egregious acts of violence against you. This is not to spread fear. That's a spirit. I am not spreading a spirit of fear. I am letting you know you need to understand the character of Satan. And Satan that is possessing a population that is surrounding you and did not want you to know that he's there. Does not want you to know how he's trying to impact you. Doesn't even want you to know that you are possessed yourself. You have a legion of demons in you that controls your mind, controls your behavior. Okay? Because there are those of you that are under this condition, you're demon possessed, but at the same time, the Lord God is working on you. All right? And that's fine. This is why he died. There is nothing other than blasphemy of the Holy Spirit that is that cannot be forgiven. Blasphemy of the Holy Spirit cannot be forgiven. It's unforgivable. But he is able to save. Okay? Now, you're talking about those that are beyond, and there are those that are beyond. There are those who are born to die. They are born cursed. Children of the devil, they will not be saved. They will not. They're going straight to hell. They're here to engage in wicked conduct. They refuse to hear anything else, and they're going to die. And they're going straight to hell. And they live a miserable life while they're here. And I don't care what their income level is at. Okay, but the entities engaging in this criminal activity, I want to get back to the issue, because the entity that's engaging in this criminal activity is doing so out of fear. This is informing you about the threat to national security regarding a population of dead people. You want to get a good general picture of these demons that are gang stalking? Watch I Am Legend. Will Smith is depicting that which he knows about personally. I'll put it that way. All right, and I mean the dead that are engaging in what is hunting down humans. The only thing that's missing from these movies is what the demon-possessed do. They seek to appear like you and I. They seek to be even admired and worshipped. That's why many of them are actors and actresses, singers and rappers and models and producers and authors. They're demons. They're demons. And when I come around, you will see those demons manifest. I am literally that trigger for the wicked. This is an entity that's engaging in that, and I want to be clear. There is no exception with regard to your socioeconomic status on Mulholland Drive. You know what lives on Mulholland Drive? A bunch of demons. Where's the fake sun when I'm at Mulholland Drive? Because I documented it while I'm on the Hollywood freeway. When I'm in Los Angeles, and the fake sun is square over the top of my head. Those are demons. They're monitoring. They only want you to think that there's something else. Those are witches. Those are Jezebels. Those are whores for Satan. They'll do anything for attention. They'll bend over for anyone. They'll put their mouth on anything. They're demons. They are for sale. All right, this is an entity that's engaged in that, and that is over. Meaning Satan is not going to dwell amongst us and you not know it. It is the Lord God's will that you know who they are. Okay? Now, he's already given wisdom, and those that walk with Christ and those who know the word of God, then you already know that demon-possessed people is a very real thing. But he's going further, and he wants you to know, you can know, that literally in the environment, they're around you. You're under the fake sun. You're surrounded by demons. You're being monitored. The government is monitoring you. Okay? Monitoring is not merely invasive technology. The technology is demonic. Monitoring is demonic activity. Demon-possessed people, meaning Satan is using a population that knows who you are. They know about your sin. They know what triggers you. They know what you like. They know what entices you. They know what enrages you. They know what it is that you want to do, you aspire to do. They know if you intend to start going to church. They know if you read your Bible. They know what verse they're monitoring you. You are being monitored. What's happening to me is happening to you. You have not been targeted for your life in such a manner that you're aware of. This is an entity that's very, very much exposed because of a failed sacrifice. They tried to kill me, and they're stalking me, which is admitting that they tried to kill me. Everybody that is stalking me, i.e. the Upland Police Department, has tried to kill me and are still engaging in that criminal activity. The population, the people of the state, your house where the fake sun is over me, you tried to kill me. This is why you're gang stalking. It is an entity that is acting together. And at the same time, it is operating through whoever is in your path. That is through one person. That entity is operating. That one person is not acting by themselves, whether you can see them or not. And by that, I mean, whether you can see a demon-possessed person hiding in the dumpster outside of their house, when all you know is you're talking to that third party or state actor in your face and nobody else is home. You don't hear anybody else. You don't see anybody else. The entity is gang stalking. You're always surrounded. You are always surrounded. This is an entity that's engaged in that. The entity stalking me by helicopter after I leave the Upland Public Library. The entity stalking me by helicopter after I left Ontario and I was being gang stalked by helicopter in Ontario at the Open Family Community Library. The entity that's stalking me by helicopter under a 5 p.m. fake sun after I arrived at the Upland Public Library on the same street, and doing so with a police department. One of them, 13 of them, one on a motor, it doesn't matter. This is a prosecution. This is called a pattern of conduct. It is clinical. So you're talking about what is logic and reasoning that is serving to prosecute you. It is systematic. You're already surrounded with the evidence, because with the pattern of conduct, everybody that's witnessing, they know what's going on too, because you're engaging in a pattern of conduct. They know it's not an anomaly. They know that it's not just some random one-off. They literally know that because the entity is stalking me by helicopter every day and every night. But you're talking about what is a pattern of conduct, meaning it is predictable what they are doing. You know what they are doing. All right, you've been trained, you've been informed, you've been given the information. For your protection, it doesn't benefit me to keep it a secret from you that gargoyles that eat humans are surrounding you. That doesn't benefit me to keep that from you. You need to know that. God bless you so that your child doesn't come up missing. So they don't try to violate them in some sexual manner, which demons have an appetite for. They have an appetite for sexual perversion. They have an appetite literally for your human flesh. And they have all manner of ways of trying to hide that by just stating that that person is a missing person. That person was eaten alive, dismembered, and buried somewhere. They consume them. And they make up police departments. They are stalking me of the so-called military. These are dignified terms associating nobility. All right, with the entity that's engaging in this debased conduct, behavior, mindset, system. It's not just the demons that are engaging it that are surrounded with the evidence of a pattern of conduct, meaning in federal court, the military tribunal, they know what is subject to the pattern of conduct. They know that everybody in that area around me is subject to what would be federal prison. Were a judge to want to go above and beyond what it is that I have stated is the case as a matter of justice, because they understand the pattern of conduct. Everybody in that zone of relevant positioning is subject to federal prison. By virtue of my evidence of the entity stalking me by helicopter, they know exactly how this pattern of conduct works. And this is an entity that's been subject to a study as I've been publishing this investigation. They know everything about how it works. I am documenting license plates. I am speaking to the ways in which you are able to identify it. That's not limiting the pool of defendants at all. They literally are stalking me by helicopter. And as I'm at the fake church, where the entity is stalking me by helicopter on video, flying in circles over the same venue, engaging in criminal defamation at the other fake church, stalking with a fake son, engaging in what is harassment, obsessing over me, wanting to be where it is that I sleep. These are the same demons. Engaging in that P.O.C. And everything that I'm documenting, any sort of threat, you're going to be prosecuted for it. All means of and any type of harassment, you're going to be prosecuted for it. This is an entity that's engaging in that conduct because they are demons who have been thoroughly exposed. All right, and this is speaking to what is a system. So I just want you to be mindful of that when you saw what you saw on video. And it's on my website. This is the POC.wordpress.com. I'm currently at May 15, 2026 on YouTube as I maintain the evidence in a chronological manner. And that's for purposes of maintaining evidence that is orderly for purposes of a prosecution. So I'm not just publishing in any random manner. This is an active case. Okay, and it's also groundbreaking that I use social media to do that while the entity seeks to target you at gang stalking courts in order to cut you off from the ability to enforce your rights or expose it, which, by the way, nobody has ever even tried to, nobody thinks of going to the court to prosecute in the first place. But while the entity seeks to block your ability to your First Amendment right to redress of grievances, that's a means of prosecuting the system as well. And that's also established. The state of California, you're subject to federal prison where there are no other avenues other than the prosecution that I'm maintaining on social media, and you have the audacity, the foolishness to stalk me in a helicopter and as a department, because that's exactly what the Upland Police and the military stalking by helicopter in the same video under the fake sun with all the defendants around. This is the entity that's engaged in that level of evidence against themselves. And these are creatures that were never designed to withstand a prosecution, okay? This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:07 p.m. I am at I Street in Euclid where the fake sun is over me this morning. So I'm being gang stalked right now. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. All right, this is Ontario Police making a statement. License 1661787 making a statement while the entity is stalking by plane. That's UPS in particular, under the fake sun. And you're going to look at the pictures I took this morning right in front of the sign of the American Inn where I stand across the street. They're going to prison, and that's the Ontario Police. communicating a threat. That sound of that motor is audible activity. This is a demon that's monitoring and communicating a threat, and they're going to prison for that threat. That threat is perceived and understood while, first of all, they're pacing. This is mentally ill while they're pacing with the demon flying the UPS plane. UPS that is not coming from any terminal of the Ontario International Airport, from San Bernardino International Airport, hovering in Ontario, where the sun is not going to be over the same street at the same property. The entity's engaged in targeting at these venues where you see these people walking back. 756 North Euclid Avenue, the Latinos living in these homes, they're going to prison, they're being deported if they're not natural born citizens, and I strongly suspect that they're immigrants and they're going to be deported while they're targeting with the Ontario Police Department, communicating a threat, listening to the evidence, listening to me speak to the fact that Upland Police are being disbanded, being prosecuted, listening to the what is the unlawful ongoing criminal activity that they are being prosecuted for, and engaging in more of it. Okay, these are demons engaging in lawlessness, defiance to federal law. All right, that demon's doing so with the terrorists who are stalking in planes. Engaging in what is judicially noticed, that this is not the sun, duration of time analysis, and that there was no takeoff here. UPS is stalking, targeting with the police, communicating a threat to my life, the agency that's engaged in kidnapping, with the people that say that engage in criminal summoning, with the demons that are under that fake sun targeting as an entity. And this is what was happening inside of the fake church at I Street in Euclid as well, where they're stalking with that fake sun as engineer light is appearing on the inside of that fake church. They're monitoring. Okay, while they're serving the free meals to all the people of the state that are gang stalking me with the Ontario police and the military by plane and helicopter. That's a basis to put them in prison. But this is the P.O.C. That those demons are going to prison, and it's also speaking to them. I'm going to document these addresses because they're serially engaged in targeting, and they're going to be federally prosecuted for that while the entities engage in this. This is at 802 North Euclid Avenue, 8th Street in Euclid, and the Google Drive will show I'm on this side of the street. The fake sun's over me at the Bank of America, where Bank of America is gang stalking while they use the teller. I'm standing in front of the American Inn sign, but I'm looking at right now in the morning, and the entity is engaged in this. I'm going to capture these addresses. Alrighty, you must understand that you're dealing with the mentally ill demons. They do behave engaging in what is groupthink conduct. So even though the entire group is caught, the entire group is incriminating each other, the entire group is engaging in criminal conduct, that everybody knows what they're doing next. Everybody knows what they did. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everyone knows what they continuously do. This is gang violence. So that was tantamount to what is the group's opinion and their plan and their sick minds. That was a retaliatory act by gang members. Okay, they're going to prison. Black Knight patrols gang stalking, and so are the demons that are inside of this medical office that will not be engaged in any practice of medicine. This is the fake sun. They are targeting by place of residence, by the maintenance of an establishment. And on video, you'll see the Latinos walking in. They're stalking in the path on the sidewalk. They're stalking. This is all symbolic while they're targeting and monitoring together with the police that conspire my murder and the people that say conspire my murder, gang stalking at what is 750 A as in Apple. I documented another Latina coming outside on the front porch, stalking by helicopter, under the fake sun, communication device out. They engage in targeting. They're going to be targeted by immigration. Okay, they're getting deported. They're going to prison as well. Even if they are not immigrants and they are natural born citizens, they are engaging in terrorism and serially, and they're going to prison. This is 748. This is the P.O.C. They are targeting with the Ontario, and the demon in that vehicle is going to prison. Okay, that was the entity communicating that, and that needs to be understood not only by you witnesses, but the federal courts need to understand the malicious intent and the defiance of those that are unfit to be in law enforcement. And this is going straight to Derek Williams, Mike LORENZ, and the entity that is putting any other person in a position as what is a terrorist leader, because they are going to prison by virtue of position. All right, that's the P.O.C. It is currently 7:07 p.m. where the fake sun is remaining over me while I'm in front of the American Inn sign, where UPS, the company, is targeting me, and the military are stalking. And that is showing you the Ontario police that are stalkers, while the entity is stalking me by planes and helicopters. Southwest Airlines comes from Terminal 4. They're admittedly engaging in targeting, and that's already been established. Now that everybody knows that you're stalking Ontario Police, Upland Police, you're all going to prison. Okay? That there is no mystery here. You are going straight to prison. You jump in front of that, you're going to prison for it. Okay? And these are demons that are willing to do that. You see how they are engaging in it, and it is that simple to engage in terrorism. You are going to prison, and you're going to be subject to what are mental examinations. And the people of the state, like these right here at 748 and 750 Euclid Avenue, they're going to prison as well. They're being deported. All areas of federal law to be applied against domestic terrorists, okay? This is the P.O.C. This is the fake sun. And I was on this side of the street. That was during the 9 a.m. hour. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's prosecuting the entire city, let alone these right here that are subject to prison, okay? American Inn is targeting. I'm inside of that window of that hotel at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're all surrounded with evidence. While the Ontario police are so psychotic, Upland police are so psychotic they can't help themselves but to expose themselves as maniacal stalkers, putting themselves right in front of this camera. They're going to prison, P.O.C. It's 7:08 p.m. Alaska Airlines is stalking at El Pescador at G Street and Euclid. 7:13 p.m. is the current time, and all those series of license plates of third parties gang stalking with that airline industry are documented. Alrighty, they are gang stalking at the Bucket Crab and Crawfish at El Pescador. They're gang stalking at the Mission Furniture. They're gang stalking at the G Street Plaza. Reliable Properties is being prosecuted. They're gang stalking at the Lockout Studios. It's gang stalking at the Bethel Congregation. Gang stalking at the 608 North Euclid Avenue. Registration services, they sell insurance, they're gang stalking, all right? They're engaging in this conduct while Alaska Airlines is captured hovering over the parking lot. While a bunch of demons, also want to be clear, non-English speaking, Spanish speaking, immigrants granted a privilege to be here, and that privilege includes gang stalking with the government. You better believe they're getting deported. They are absolutely being expedited out of this country. And they're gang stalking under the fake sun at 7:13 p.m., knowing exactly who I am, targeting an American citizen, as though you're going to stay in this country. It's laughable. They have met what is the basis to deport the entire immigrant population in the state of California. All right, and not one person is racist behind that absolutely American and fully constitutional law regarding terrorists. This is the P.O.C. And Alaska Airlines is being federally prosecuted for terrorism. So is Southwest Airlines, and that was UPS gang stalking me while I'm walking from H Street, H as in Henry, to what is G Street, where the entity is keeping that fake sun. And this is where I'm at in the morning. Remember when the entity is gang stalking me at the Bethel Congregational Church this morning at the Chevron, the Impossible Light, the demon-possessed gargoyle that looks like a black woman on the outside. She's a creature, not my sister. Remember that video? I'm in the same location where engineer lights dancing across the wall, fake sun over my head. And that was during the 9 a.m. hour, 8 to 9. It's almost 12 hours later. This is the prosecution of the entire airline industry that is going to be inoperable in the state of California. And you're talking about what's going to inevitably impact the operation of airlines in the United States. This is P.O.C. While they're stalking me, we're pursuant to what is gang stalking, gang violence, gangs that are hell bent on, for example, oh, we got to retaliate, we got to say something, we got to do something, and all you're doing is giving me money, and you're going to prison. You're giving me all of your money, which is not even your money. These are demons that murder and sacrifice while they stalk and monitor and steal and defraud and kidnap, all right? This is an entity that's engaging in that, and they're doing it as demons under the fake sun, and it includes corrupt companies, which you need to be wary of before you board their planes. Alaska Airlines, Southwest Airlines, the entity that is gang stalking, UPS. These are suicidal and mentally ill, corrupt, unethical. Limitless with regard to the level of depraved conduct that they will engage in. While even representing these company names are a threat to national security, and I am prosecuting them. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in that conduct, and that is speaking to what is a price tag. There is a price tag for terrorism, and it's going to put them out of business. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 7:16 p.m. I just want to be clear. I'm standing at the Starbucks where Ocean committed kidnapping with the Ontario police that are stalking me at the American Inn 2 blocks up the street. Yeah, Ocean's going to prison. And I'll repeat that because that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's what I told her on the morning of July 4th, 2025. Where all the demons that are watching me humiliate them, who want to be me, are engaging in what is applauding while you saw the overt and admitted engagement in gang stalking me by kidnapping at Starbucks. That's a gang stalker. That's literally the pattern of conduct. While I'm up the street and that same department is engaging in stalking, the entity is literally stalking up the street from where they committed a kidnapping 12 hours earlier at 7:15 a.m. Starbucks is going to compensate. This is an unprecedented basis for compensation. While planes fly over the Starbucks, while helicopters fly in circles over me at the Starbucks, while that police department that didn't have any authority under the law, that were engaged in stalking me like they are now on video today, under a fake sun, absurdly psychotic. Yeah, they're going to prison. Okay, all three of those, and you have what is a laundry list of demons of that department who are all going to prison, and they are going to be committed. That's what they are getting. And while they are hostile, understand that these are demons that are going to be committed. They're hostile about it, and you know what they're doing until the day that they're taken against their will? They're stalking me until then, and that's also going toward the fact of them being committed. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:18 p.m. The entity that is gang stalking me as a department is the entity that is not going to receive a paycheck upon being disbanded as a department, and I don't care what your position is. There is no superior, a part of that department, that's receiving any back pay, no retired. You're not getting any check when you retire. You're not getting any sort of retirement. You're being relieved as a terrorist. Alrighty, that's the pattern of conduct. While the entity is gang stalking me, those are just the ongoing casualties relevant to being prosecuted as an overall department, let alone while a random cockroach is stalking me on the roads and the highways like I'm documenting. All right, with the people of the state. This is the P.O.C. And that's the entity that is stalking and doing so pursuant to what is mental illness, multi-million-dollar companies that are keeping me under surveillance. And do you want to know why? Because they actually are demon possessed. All right, so the notion of zombies is real. It's just put in a manner that is entertaining to you, in a manner where you would find it absurd for that to be reality. But these demons are in many, many ways admitting what they are and what they do. And it's an illustration of death. They don't walk around with toilet paper wrapped around them. All right, but they absolutely are vacant in the mind. They are mummies. They don't engage in any reasoning. They have no self-control. And you're talking about the perfect storm, which is Erica Lorraine Spencer, for you to be able to witness how they were demons the entire time. And these are demons that are engaging in stalking and monitoring you as well. Alrighty, this is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that conduct, and it is to their demise. They will pay and fork over every penny. They will serve every hour that justice requires in prison, and they will be deported back to whatever actually the federal government, because it's not necessarily where you came from. But nonetheless, you will be deported. The entire state is subject to deportation, and that's just the baseline regarding justice, because I have shown, as one subject to it and one having an ability to competently address it, you're talking about what is the ability to speak to what justice is going to, at the very least, include. This is not limiting the federal courts, the military tribunal, to do that and more. Okay, and essentially, this is what is going to happen anyway upon understanding the lawlessness that the United States government has been engaged in. And while they are literally, they are spoiling, they are poisoning what is the name, the reputation internationally of law enforcement in the United States, which is the executive branch. It's literally the integrity and also the perception of that integrity internationally, which creatures do not care about. They don't care about that. But it absolutely matters with regard to the sustenance of a nation. These are things that actually matter. You don't go around, and you're not going to last. It's not going to withstand trying to rule with a fist, iron fist, intimidating it. Not everyone is intimidated. And when they find out the cowards that you actually are, the hypocrites that you actually are, the ignoramuses that you actually are. You couldn't even outmaneuver a woman that's never had a day of training, and I don't have to. I can keep my eyes closed and rattle out to you what these demons are thinking and what they're doing and what they intended to do and what they cannot accomplish. That is what is showing how weak the United States is. And it's a threat to your life who are listening in this country. It's a threat to your life. It's a level of vulnerability. They're supposed to keep us safe. And that is also relevant to what is the perception of strength of this country. They look bat-poo crazy. From the police who are stalking, they're out here flinging light. Who is going to take that seriously? Are you kidding me? This is a threat to national security. It's a threat to our sovereignty. Now, I'm not going to go too far on this because the Bible doesn't say anything about the United States lasting until the end. There is nothing that's speaking to the fact that this is going to last. But what I'm speaking to is the ongoing acceleration of the demise of this country because of what the wicked have done. Because of what they've done. And they're foolish. They're foolish. They don't even have a genuine perception, an idea of what strength is, because it's not this. just killing off anything that challenges it. Okay, well, that's not happening toward me. And now you're able to see in the face of what you cannot conquer how weak you are. You know, how many countries know our secrets and are not going to be scared to speak on them anymore because we've lost the respect of those across the globe that are not going to hesitate to maintain some sort of provocation against this country because they see how weak, how unhinged, how discombobulated, how hypocritical. And upon that hypocrisy, how an American citizen like myself overwhelmed them. And all they can do is more of the same, which makes you look like a clown. And they get up the next day. Well, they don't even sleep, but they get up the next day, so to say, and they decide the next hour to keep doing the same thing. That's literally insanity. Insanity that's a threat to you. And you have a country full of unstable people, creatures that are walking around dead. They are literally waiting, and I hate to speak this, but this is the truth. They are already dead. You're waiting for the day for a mass act of violence for them to physically experience that which is inevitable. They're already dead. These are the deeds of the dead. And when you start eating at your own sustenance, because that's what you're doing when you are attacking your own. You're attacking those that are valuable. And under the illusion of the United States, every American citizen is valuable. But what I'm even getting at, you're trying to eat away at those, destroy those, attack those who are valuable to the sustenance of this country. It's over. It is over for the so-called U.S. of A. You have the homeless outside, gang stalking. What are you doing with your life? Yeah, they're dead. They're dead. They're dead. What they're doing outside, which I have an up close and personal ability to show you, to report to you, this is their priority while they are working in the Pentagon, monitoring. This is their priority. The head of the FBI, a demon, monitoring. This is actually what's happening. That is not a plan. So in other words, if you do not already have your life together, if you do not already know Christ Jesus, because this is going to sink, it's coming to an end. He is coming back, and this was never designed to last. They are being embarrassed at this time for a reason. They're being exposed to this level, to this degree for a purpose. If this is what you put your faith in, you are sadly mistaken, and it is a trap. They cannot even handle themselves. They have no way of taking control of a narrative that they were never granted the control to take. You're not controlling anything. You don't even control your own mind. They don't even control their genitalia. They engage in whatever Satan tells them to do, with whatever Satan tells them to do it with. If it's an animal, if it's a child, if it's a dead body, that's what they do. That's what's in position of leadership, and that's what's stalking me, calling itself a police department. That is the end of the United States of America, and that's not hyperbole. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 7:26 p.m. And just as clearly as you see this, and it literally is that while you have one of any department stalking, gang stalking, and this is already established, that department is being disbanded. It's a joke, and they're being disbanded, and they've been facing that for years. They've been engaged in an ongoing campaign trying to murder me, and while doing so, acting in furtherance of that, gang stalking me obsessively, wasting money on vehicles, on the department, paying these demons. They get paychecks and calling their positions law enforcement level 1 or 2 when all they are stalkers. They're all stalkers. That's it. Millions of dollars wasted on the Ontario Police Department. They're not a police department. And they're going to compensate for what they've been paid to do. And part of that compensation is by necessity. Not only are you going to pay me, they are going to prison. They're spending, their bodies are going in cells, and that is mandatory with regard to what an American citizen has been subject to, having been attacked by the United States, levying war against them. With the population, you are going to prison. Your body is going in a cell. There is no negotiation out of that. There is no amount of money, and it is not contingent on any amount of damages. You are going to prison. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 7:27 p.m. Alrighty, the entity, Southwest Airlines, that is stalking with the Ontario Police Department now as well. Coming out of the Senior Center exit is called Crossing Path. And this is the same demon that's doing so in the video that I documented this morning. And this was literally planned. This is the entity that's going to prison for the things that are documented. You'll pay attention to the screen recording I captured. They look at themselves and they engage in what's supposed to be retaliatory conduct. That's exactly what Ontario Police did with UPS at H Street and Euclid, pursuant to monitoring evidence. These are demons that are mentally ill. Okay, Southwest Airlines is going to be landed because those are mentally ill actors maintaining planes to stalk people and monitor them in order to murder them. And they're making money off of engaging in surveillance, not a legitimate airline. No wonder why that company is also so ghetto, because they're actually engaged in gang stalking, gang violence, and not a professional airline. But anyway, this is the entity that's engaged in that. And this is the senior center facing what is the city hall. All of that light all over that building. When the sun is over that building, over my head at 7 in the morning, that is not sunlight. At 7:31 p.m. and while the entity is flying over, do you understand Paul Leon's going to prison? Okay, there's no terminal where Southwest Airlines is flying over my head, engaging in a flight at 1444 North Euclid Avenue, at H Street and Euclid, nor at the City Hall. Okay, and remember, they're doing that because I'm here. Because when I'm at the library, they're flying over this building. That's the entity that's stalking with the people, focusing on me and not thinking about the fact that everything they do is analyzed and they see the pattern that they're engaging in while they're stalking. They're flying over GL partners. I'm prosecuting them. Ontario Town Square, stalking in the path, a demon engaging in surveillance in the parking lot while they all were waiting for me to arrive. Metro 102 Apartments, MIG Realty being federally prosecuted, flying over the John Stewart Company being federally prosecuted. All right, and everybody inside of the senior center is engaged in vagina monitoring. This is the city of Ontario that's being defunded. All right, the old folks are not going to have anywhere to hang out and gang stalk. That's an employee monitoring. This is the P.O.C. Those two planes going into the bathroom stalking, in front of the bathroom stalking. Hello.
Hi, will you use the restroom?
Thank you. This is the P.O.C. in engineered light. See my shadow approaching in front? This is vagina monitoring, P.O.C. And this is speaking to stalking inside of the bathroom where the entity is stalking in the path. Alrighty, I just want you to see shadow here, and the elderly that are sex offenders are engaging in surveillance in the bathroom for crossing a path conduct, P.O.C. All right, you're in the engineer light using the bathroom, you're stalking. And you already know that because the entity is maintaining plane activity where no planes are taking off from the airport, flying over miles away and then hovering over the senior center. And that's after being at H Street and I. This is the pattern of conduct. And this is the defunding of the city of Ontario. There will be no senior center, no HUD housing for the elderly, none of this as you're looking at how it's abused, how it is criminal expenditure of resources on what is gang stalking, all the facilities that they build, everything that maintained, it's for purposes of criminal monitoring. This is Exhibit A. Everything that they're building and funding is serving criminal surveillance, and it will all be defended. This is part of the entity compensating me. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:34 p.m. All right, the current time is 9:24 p.m. I am at Ovid Family Community Library. Leo, who is already subject to prison, this is more evidence speaking to what is mandated prison for this terrorist. And remember, his co-defendant is gang stalking under the sunrise this morning at the same Ovid Family Community Library where you see Southwest Airlines is stalking over the Ontario City Hall, where the sunrise is at, and then you saw all that engineer light all over the city hall. Leo is stalking, and Leo is stalking with the same military stalking me by helicopter. The same mentally ill entity thought it was a good idea, and Leo's going to prison for it. He's not the only one, but Leo was here, and Leo was an easy target amongst a pool of defendants who are also going to prison. He's gang stalking on the golf cart. He's already exhibited severe mental instability, stalking and molesting me with light, targeting me inexplicably on an ongoing basis, even engaging in what is violating my equal protection rights, not only by gang stalking, but referring to homelessness as his means of harassing me in this environment. This is on video. He's going to prison. The entity is stalking from approximately 9 p.m. to 9:25 p.m. for, by engaging in what is flying in circles. And this is the entity that is literally desperate for my attention. Now, what you listen to on my podcast while I am analyzing, while I am giving you examples, while I am literally helping you understand
What is the mindset of a debased population, of a mentally ill population, of a dead population? The character of Satan, familiarizing you with the ways of the devil. That is not giving attention to these demons that are obsessed with me. And even if I give them negative attention, like such as, for example, if I do something profane, like point my middle finger at a demon, do you understand that they are satisfied with that because they just want my attention? That's how obsessed they are with me. That's how obsessed they are. If I were to engage in an argument and go back and forth, demons are satisfied with that. They want to be acknowledged. They want me to give them any kind of attention, even if it's you're fat, you're ugly, you're hideous, you're going to die, you're cursed, you're going to hell, da 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 da. Anything you say to them, Satan is obsessed. Satan is in the inside. Oh, thank you for talking to me. Oh my goodness. I think you're so amazing. Oh my gosh. That's literally where Satan is at. Outwardly, you're looking at what is a demon that will return the argument, that will be yelling at the top of their voice, monitoring me. Okay, showing their obsession with me, behaving physically in a manner that is socially acceptable and expected. What's actually going on is an entity that is worshiping. And so this is what the entity is doing, stalking by helicopter, even while they are exposing themselves to prison. And that's what's happening to Leo. Leo is stalking while I'm being targeted with impossible light underneath the side of the Obit Family Community Library. You see that during the day under the fake sun. And you see that at nightfall while I show you the engineer light. Leo is also engaged in that as a demon who's not engaging in security. He's engaged in pacing. He's going to be subject to what are mandatory mental examinations as documented terrorists stalking me with light in particular, which is mentally ill behavior. He is stalking me while the Ontario police, the military are flying in circles for over 20 minutes. Again, just like what you see in my documentation this morning when I'm on Facebook and the entity is stalking by helicopter, that is engaging in federal stalking and employing a method of terrorism to obstruct justice while you are in fact engaging in what is keeping me under surveillance, and then even following me to Upland to repeat that terrorist act in concert with the Upland Police Department. Both of those demons in those Upland police vehicles, the vehicle numbers on the top of those vehicles, the federal government is watching them stalking me. They're both going to prison. Okay, I'm maintaining my own evidence. The federal government is watching and listening to while they're literally being sentenced in real time while I'm documenting them. They're going to prison. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and Leo's sharing in that. Leo's going to prison. Securitas is being federally prosecuted. And that's just one aspect. I want to document that. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:28 p.m. In case you didn't catch that, it's 9:33 p.m. That was the entity stalking by helicopter. These are cowards. Leo is stalking. He's let me see. Third party is stalking in the path at John Stewart Apartments, walking over the grass, crossing path while the entity was sending helicopter activity. That was helicopter activity. I just want to make sure I record that. That's what the entity was doing for 20 minutes. Very pathetic, okay? The government is being treated like a prepubescent teenager that is begging me for attention that you're never going to get. And not only that, they're going to be committed with this. You're literally going to be listening to this in the court and looking at the faces of those that are engaging in this conduct, and they are going to be hauled off to mental facilities. And right now, they are more blinded with obsession with me. That is the helicopter activity that's putting Securitas employees in prison, okay? Dylan is a gang stalker. Diana, that was gang stalking at the Obit Family Community Library. There's no statute of limitation. She was gang stalking me at Starbucks in 2025. She looked at the evidence and she engaged in gang stalking again. She's going to prison. She's still a documented terrorist. You have the gang stalkers with the mop on the head and the other one that's changing her hair pieces on a daily basis. They're both going to prison. She's gang stalking with the Ontario police in the parking lot, stalking me, stalking with light. They're all going to prison, including Leo. Okay? The gang stalkers at the Ontario Town Square, they're all going to prison. Securitas is dealt with while you hear the helicopter activity. Okay? That's the P.O.C. That's the entity that's incompetent. And I'm going to weaponize your obsession with me and do something productive, and then you're also going to pay me. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:34 p.m. This is the helicopter activity I was referring to. It's the evidence of a population that is stalking. Okay, POC. Alrighty, I just captured an image of that. But like I said, the entity is engaging, as I provide evidence on my podcast for you witnesses. But the federal government is aware of every moment that the entity crawls in a helicopter and even comes toward me, let alone flies in circles over me. They've been watched for a long time, long before I announced it to them. This is why I've been conducting my investigation with knowledge that they were being watched the entire time. Every lie that they were uttering, they were being watched while they were lying. And now everyone is looking at the end of that entire equation where they were lying and you didn't know that they were lying. You were even entertaining their lying. You were listening to, participating in their lying campaign while I'm being targeted. And the entity is now known to have been lying while this ongoing obsessive endeavor has been the case and the purpose, the objective the entire time. And for that, you're going to be committed. You're more than a criminal. You're a raving lunatic that threatens national security, because this is gang stalkers that are in law enforcement and gang stalkers that are in the military. No ordinary criminal. They're being locked down. This is the P.O.C. Leo is a gang stalker. That mental illness is shared by him. Okay. Now he's very accessible. The feds know where the shack that he lives. He's going to prison. Period. This is P.O.C. It's 9:36 p.m. Oh no, don't fly off now, Satan. Continue what you've been doing, flying in a circle. These are vagina monitors that are going to be subject to a battery of tests and routinely medicated. That's what this is evidence of, and that's what it's supporting. That's exactly what's going to happen. While the entity is stalking by plane and engaging in what is stalking again, this is the third time, stalking by helicopter. The moment that I start recording, then the vagina monitor wants to fly off. Sitting right here while the podcast is being uploaded. It is currently 11:34 p.m. This is getting committed. This is getting committed. Involuntarily. Straight jacket. Okay, slobber all over the walls. Feces all over them. They're going to be committed. That's what this is, stalking in a helicopter. At what is 11:34 at night. And you need to understand the people of the state, they are of the same condition. These are demons who do not stop the case. What they do is support committing gang stalkers. Gang stalkers are going into mental facilities. That's where you're going. Very promptly. All I have to do is pull out my camera, and that's what makes you stop. The feds are watching the entire time while this demon commenced to flying in circles over and over again while my podcast is uploading on the internet. That's the part that they're concerned about. They're concerned about you seeing me capturing it, because you are merely witnesses to what's happening in real life. And what's real life is the involuntary commitments of the HIV-infected military personnel who are being discharged. What's happening in real life is the prosecution of a population, the entire housing community that lives back here. All right. The Ontario City Council that's being defunded. Everybody's losing their job. The City of Ontario will not be employing anybody. They will not be maintaining any facilities for the City of Ontario. And there will not be any government housing for anybody in the City of Ontario that will not be able to afford and will be in no position to provide any assistance. This is the P.O.C. This is federal stalking. This is what they were doing when I was uploading onto Facebook as well. This is the entity that is, understand, you gang stalk, you're getting committed. This is establishing severe mental instability beyond criminal activity, not merely public corruption. Mental instability of a population that will be subject to massive commitments. This is P.O.C. These are stalkers at the Ontario Civic Center. P.O.C. Stalkers. Pay attention to them because they're all racist. This is the entity up in the middle of the night stalking. This is what they're doing, sitting in the library all day long, not reading, stalking. And this is the face of the vagina monitors while you look at them stalking in the engineer light, not walking a dog. This is Satan. This is P.O.C. This is mental illness. Look as crazy as you want because you look crazy in engineer light. Flying in circles over the building and then walking out from behind. Gang stalking with the government. It's the picture of obsession. And it's getting committed. Look at it looking stupid. That's why it's getting committed. It's getting committed. This is a P.O.C.
That's the face of Satan. You're going to look at all her shadows while it's pointing and staring at the device. That's the demon. That's the P.O.C. and that's the entity stalking with the population. This vagina monitor was on the opposite side of the building stalking the entire time and is coming around and crossing path. That's the mentally ill that are getting committed, and she can't spell that either. Stalking, P.O.C. It is currently 11:37 p.m. That's the people of the state. In this environment, you're not questioning and you're not separate from that entity that is stalking by helicopter. You're not separate while that entity, that's a psychopath. Me? Huh? What? While she is stalking at the same time. That's what is the population of lesbians that are obsessed with me. Stalking. That's the P.O.C. She's crossing path as an entity. Psychopathic pacing. P.O.C. Look at the shadow travel around the person. That's a demon. Stalking. These are demons. They're getting committed. There's a population of the mentally ill that are getting committed, spending millions of dollars and then having the brokies that are living outside gang stalking me. That's the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, while you're looking at this, it's 11:38 p.m. while the state of California is going to be subject to martial law. P.O.C. Okay, now I want you to think back on the demon, the lesbian that's looking stupid while she's being documented, engaging in the gang stalking system while looking stupid as though she has no idea what I'm talking about. While she's in the engineer light, while the demon is flying in circles by helicopter and going behind the same senior center, doing so after 11 o'clock at night in the engineered environment, meaning the pattern of conduct is underway, you're engaging in it. You are executing the criminal elements of monitoring while looking stupid. Who? Me? That is the formula for being committed. Understand that. This is how you are going to diagnose and treat the mentally ill. It will not be with the concession of the demons. While the demons play stupid, they're going to be committed. While the demons engage in harassment and violence, they're going to be committed. While the demons engage in denial, while they feign ignorance, while they are engaging in the pattern of conduct, they're going to be committed. While the entity is engaging in that behavior, like what you see, the entity is stalking me in the middle of the night, communication device in hand. All right, they're engaging in the previous video, psychopathic pacing. Okay, not only is the entity stalking me by helicopter, okay, so the co-defendant just engaged in what is the ongoing pattern of conduct, and then this lesbian comes around the corner in the middle of the night where she was on the opposite side of this building stalking. The entity is engaging in that while they are maintaining this pattern of conduct, right? This is the obsession. Hold on. Trying to dip and dodge while you're acting stupid. That's the entity. Understand how you're going to diagnose the mentally ill. These are not humans. These are not those that are going to sit down and talk to you about their issues and tell you how obsessed they are with the target individual. They're not going to tell you how unfulfilled that they are, that the target individual doesn't know them, doesn't acknowledge them, doesn't want them to stalk them, doesn't like them monitoring their vagina or their genitalia, whatever gender you are. The demon possessed are engaging in a system that's unspoken, okay? They're demons. It's Satan. So Satan, just like what you see in this video, while the demons are aware that I'm showing you something else on my phone, trying to fit in another cartwheel. That's how obsessed they are. You see it in the person that was using a prop, which is a dog. And she's pointing to herself. Me? Me? Let me remind you about what I'm talking about. This is the entity that's engaging in this while the entity is engaging in psychopathic pacing at the same time. This is the diagnosis of mental illness. This is the very behavior that you are taking note of because they're going to be committed. It is the evidence of highly unstable terrorists who commit murder. Those same perplexed faces that are psychotic with obsession, hiding and stalking in the dark. Even doing so with a helicopter, and the moment that a camera turns on, then you fly off, while your co-defendants then walk out one after another, where the fake sun rises and sets, and you are with a straight face looking perplexed. It would be better for you to gang stalk in silence than to say anything, because this is what this demon is doing. She's overtly, conspicuously stalking. Pay attention to them, because they're all racist. This is the entity up in the middle of the night, stalking. This is what they're doing, sitting in the library all day long, not reading, stalking. And this is the face of the vagina monitors while you look at them stalking in the engineer light, not walking a dog. This is Satan. This is P.O.C. This is mental illness. Look. Pay attention to her facial expression, frowning like, what? What is she talking about? What is she talking about? Meanwhile, this is what the entities engage in. Don't forget about what you saw. The entity is stalking. And the entity is stalking all day long. Stalking in Upland, California under the fake sun, kept that fake sun over me all day long. Kept the fake sun over me while I am being gang stalked here by helicopter as I'm using my device, and is doing so with the people of the state that are in the specific environment. I just want to be clear. Element 1, element 2, your presence. Element 3, any and everything that you give to medical professionals about how unstable you are while you're already exhibiting mental illness of gang stalking, you're getting committed. That's the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that. And in this video, you're looking at what is the entity's demented and deranged behavioral pattern while they are obsessed with me, and it will never reflect on the targeted individual. The fact that the entity is competing with my voice at 12 o'clock in the morning, and then you see this demon frowning as though I'm making something up, and you are standing in my face gang stalking. They're going to be committed. Understand that federal prison is not enough. It does not go far enough. Gang stalkers are being committed. Mental facilities all over the country. And why? Because you are aware of now an entire population of mentally ill people who are demons. They're not even humans. And it is a national security. This is not to spread the spirit of fear. This is to spread information, and it's also information that is relevant to you. They are keeping your genitalia under surveillance. They are monitoring you, and they are also engaging in criminal activity that they could be prosecuted for, and upon prosecution, you put them in mental institutions. This is what an entity is engaging in while you are overtly, HIV, meaning clear evidence. Even in this video, stalking, flying over my head again, while the co-defendant, the people of the state, are stalking with them. This is the obsession that's underway at the Upland Public Library. What is the difference? Oh, Joy works at the library. So Joy, who is equally obsessed and psychopathic and sexually perverted and unhinged, crazy. She's out of her mind. She's a psycho. She's a demon. She's cloaking that by having the opportunity to be at the job by virtue of, oh, I belong here because I work there. Even if Joy did not work there, Joy would be gang stalking me inside of that Upland Public Library. Understand that. But employment is systematic facilitation. These are not humans, they're demons. This is why it's 12 o'clock in the morning and they are stalking in the most expensive and psychopathic manner. And who walks around the building? It's the vagina monitors themselves. Stalking 24 hours a day, obsessed with the breathing pattern, obsessed with what it is that I'm thinking about, obsessed with what it is that I'm saying, obsessed with any moment that they can't be in my presence. And this is an entity that's willing and sacrificing themselves. They belong in the mental institutions. They want to go to the mental institutions. They need to go to the mental institutions. Pay attention to her facial expression.
This is Satan. This is P.O.C. This is mental illness. Look as...
While you are stalking, that's the entity that's trying to project what is the abnormal onto the one that she is stalking. The entity is gang stalking, and you are gang stalking by virtue of that pattern of conduct. This is an entity that's accustomed to gang violence, and it's all the gang's word against that target individual. That's not working here. So now we have bare bones evidence of instability. Oh, you're stalking, and you like to treat the person that you're stalking as though they're deranged, like it's not happening, like you're not doing that, so everybody's imagining it. This is the behavior, this is the mindset behind that behavior. And it's also stalking in helicopters. It's also making up the military. It's making up corrupt law enforcement agencies. It's going to be committed. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and this is the entity that's doing so while monitoring the evidence on the venue of the internet, okay? This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:03 a.m. This is going up on Instagram, which the entity is monitoring right now. I just want to be clear. Upland Police, I'm going to remind you about their license plates because they're both going to prison. Gang stalking on Euclid Avenue under the fake sun after 5 p.m. The same Euclid Avenue where it was over me, where Spectrum is gang stalking during the 10 a.m. hour. That's over 7 hours on the same street, fake sun over me. They're going to prison, and this is the pattern of conduct. The entity stalking me by helicopter in Ontario, following me to Upland, stalking me by helicopter, and engaging in that pattern of conduct right now with impunity and forgetting that there are very specific people, including Marcelo Blanco, that are going to federal prison. Daniel Goodman is not going to a San Bernardino Police Department and escaping prison. He committed kidnapping, has been engaged in the conspiracy to murder me for years while I'm still subject to the pattern of conduct. He's going to prison. You're mandatory prison time. You're going to prison, especially while you have a population stalking me in the middle of the night, failing at looking like you're saying like you're doing anything other than being a gang stalking lesbian. You're going to prison, Darren Goodman. You're going to prison, Marcelo Blanco. You're going to federal prison. Mike Lorenz, Derek Williams, you're going to prison. You, geniuses, committed kidnapping while you lack the self-control to stop providing evidence that anything less than prison is justice. You're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. while you fly over the top of my head, and you are flying over the top of my head while the entity uses a helicopter. You are going to prison for this. This is the P.O.C., and you're not doing 6 months and getting out. This is the P.O.C., all right? This is the entity that's going to be committed, and that includes people in the position that Marcelo Blanco is in being committed. Gang stalking brokies living outside being committed. They are not treated differently. They are all terrorists. And this is the uniform treatment under federal law. I am showing you how you're going to assess that. You are getting beyond what is the unintelligent illusion presented by psychopaths who literally in their mind all plot, if we all just act like this person is crazy while we are exhibiting actual mental illness, while we're engaging in what is targeting and obsessing and worshiping this person, then we will create the alternative reality that that person is crazy. They will all be subject to commitments. That's psychopathic, delusional, deranged behavior. Antisocial, and it's a national security threat. While they have access to weapons, they have access to positions that they're abusing, while they have an ongoing impulse to steal from, defraud, sexually violate, and take the lives of those, including eating the flesh of those that they are stalking. This is how demons are going to be treated in the United States. They will be subject to what are involuntary commitments. You're gang stalking. Understand, hear this well. Hear me and hear me good. You're gang stalking, you're getting committed. Gang stalking is the evidence to have you put in a mental institution. No longer will you gang stalk someone and that targeted individual will be confined. You are getting committed. This is the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, while this entity is providing evidence supporting what is the mental illness of those that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, it's 12:06 a.m. And this is federal stalking, P.O.C. This is the population that's going to fill up mental institutions. All right, that's P.O.C. This is a full-grown demon inside of a child that's gang stalking, and its parents are demons. And as it procreates, it creates demons, and it's engaging in monitoring with the government. And this is why the entity is engaging in what is conduct that's going to result in that. That's the pattern of conduct, P.O.C. They're going to be committed. Yeah. All right, and then I just want to be clear. Automatic prison is Marcelo Blanco already. Mike Lorenz, federal prison for kidnapping. Also Darren Goodman, who's now with San Bernardino Police Department, gang stalking me even in 2026. He's going to federal prison. And this is the entity that's engaging in that. I want to be clear. There's no takeoffs from the airport right now. And there are no flights that are scheduled from any airport that's going to hover, and you just witnessed them engage in real-time criminal activity, the inability to control themselves. So the demon walks by, they engage in gang stalking in plain sight right here. They did it, they're doing it right in front. They're not free to engage in that. You're not free to engage in targeting by planes. You're not free to engage in what is gang stalking by what is abusing, what is the freedom of speech right. That's not freedom of speech. That's the terrorist gang stalker with the military that's targeting in a plane, and they're going to be committed for that conduct. They're engaging it while they're triggered by what I'm stating. This is why they're getting committed. This is an entity that's engaging in psychological torture, conspicuously stalking me and threatening me. Understand that this is a threat that's posed to all of you as you witness it. All right, this is the entity that's doing so at 12 o'clock in the morning. This is the entity that's doing so while they are in real-time monitoring the evidence while they are deciding to engage in this criminal activity using the airline industry that is providing the instrumentalities to do so. And the entities engage in this while there are no, I just want you to see there are no scheduled flights. And I want to be clear, no flight from the airport is even going to be hovering over the senior center. So while you see prepubescent little boys and girls gang stalking me, understand that that's state action. Doing so while they're all sitting up. Nope, the demons are not sleeping in the engineered environment. The airline industry has shown itself to be an enemy to the United States. They murder people, and now they're upset because they know that when there is a plane crash, it's a deliberate act of terrorism. The entities engaging what is gang stalking me, and they're doing so with an inability to control themselves. Let me turn the camera back on. While you see this little boy walking by, the U.S. military is stalking with him in real time. And you know why? Because Darren Goodman's going to prison. And does that make you feel better? Because Darren Goodman is still going to prison after you exhibit the fact that you are in fact gang stalking, and that was a psychopath looking stupid, contorting her face while she's gang stalking in real time. She's a closeted lesbian who is being outed in the P.O.C., the evidence of the P.O.C. She was outed tonight. Stalking another woman. Prosecution and diagnosis. All together handled by the P.O.C. That's what the entity is showing you. These are terrorists who are providing what is the formula. It could not be any more clear than that. The entity is engaging in this, and they're doing so while they keep a whole environment over me. The entity that is worshiping me is the entity that is in need of what are commitments, and that's exactly what's going to be a matter of federal policy. And there is no respecter of person. The gang-stalking senator, subject to commitments. The gang-stalking fire chief, subject to commitments. The gang-stalking kindergarten teacher, the gang-stalking attorney, the gang-stalking trash dumpster man or woman. Okay, there is no hierarchy amongst them. They're all creatures. Now you're aware of them, and there's a way to treat them under the law, because we don't deal in goblins and ghouls in court. We deal with criminal activity, volitional acts, in violation of the law, in violation of the rights of others. And these demons are engaging in criminal activity, which is more than sufficient to have them committed. And that's exactly what the law is going to require. It's a matter of justice. They're engaging in it right in front of you. 12 o'clock in the morning. Not only are there no flights, there are no flights that are going to be hovering over the senior center, over the city hall, where the goblin is sitting on the city council. Paul Leon is going to prison. And Paul Leon belongs in a mental facility. Understand, Paul Leon is acting while you see the plane and the entity. This is an entity. They all share in that obsession together. That's why it's as personal as the fake sun being over my head when I'm at the city hall at 7 in the morning. That's why the entity is flying over the top of my head when I'm at the city hall. Everybody in that building and everybody that's surrounding, stalking in the path, like they are in the middle of the night, walking from around the back and walking in front, gang stalking, like nothing is happening, or like you're imagining it while they are gang stalking you, they're going to be committed. This is the entity that's going to be subject to that which is relevant to what they are actually doing, as opposed to the illusion that they project, which only gang stalking courts, corrupt governments are entertaining. That is over. You're going to prison and you're being committed. And the homosexuals, the HIV-infected gang members, these thugs of the military are being discharged, and they're being prosecuted for treason while you see them stalking with people in the United States, targeting, levying war against an American citizen. They're going to prison. And this is also the basis. Whether they're natural-born citizens or not, this is also establishing deportation, because everybody in California is gang stalking. There is no exception except for me, the one who is being targeted. That's exactly what I said. Population is full of demons. Not only that, this is the evidence, because that is the fact proven by the P.O.C. Every single last immigrant is subject to deportation, and Mr. Trump, under existing law, has the authority to do so, which is terrorism. While the entity is stalking by helicopter, this is the government that is served to deport their own co-defendants. And it's a basis to compensate the targeted individual. Abusing the government, even creating areas of law, such as abusing immigration law in order to levy war against an American citizen that you intend to defraud, murder, steal from, harass, and psychologically torture. This is the entity that's engaging in that. And they're not thinking about that while they just want to get in and, oh, she said this, so I'm going to fly over her by helicopter. Well, Darren Goodman's going to prison. While you prove this is the pattern of conduct he was engaging in while I'm documenting him in San Bernardino and in Upland. And it's the same with regard to Mike Lorenz. It's the same with regard to Derek Williams. You shall not be retiring out of any federal prosecution for that which I documented you in office, in that position, violating my constitutional human rights. And it's the same with Michael Moore in Los Angeles. No one forgot about you. There's a long list, and you're going to prison. And that you is plural right now, not just Michael Moore who's being prosecuted. But there is a long list. My point is that there is a long list. This entity's been engaging in this conduct. Oh, they've been engaging in this for years. They have been conspiring my murder while you see them gang stalking at 12 o'clock. You're right in my face, engaging in the criminal system of terrorism together. You're joining in with the demons that are flying in circles by helicopter. You're joining in with them. That's the significance of being in the environment, and that's how easily a population is gang stalking you. It's not traffic, like I told you, which you see the demons of the Ontario police sharing in. It's surveillance, and it's surveillance that's designed to psychologically torture and also project mental illness onto you while they all point their finger at you, while you dare to utter a word that they're harassing you and targeting you, even while they inaudibly mute. Not saying anything, not addressing you, just walk by, which is supposed to be perceived as, I'm not doing anything, I'm not touching you. That's a lie out of the pit of hell. They're stalking. Stalking your every move, not just stalking you from place to place, they're stalking your every move. A creature like a roach comes out of the crevices any false move you make. Very threatening, very psychotic. And this is what the state of California is invested in. The cockroach is calling himself a governor. He's a demon. He's a monitoring spirit. And this is a system that, by the way, he has a hand in creating. Gavin Newsom engaged in a lot of manipulation of the so-called mental health court system, whereby this entity is kidnapping American citizens. I will prosecute him. I will prosecute him. In fact, I already am. You are being prosecuted as a corrupt public official while this is underway in any state within these United States. I hope you understand that. In the same way, I am prosecuting you as a public official while I am documenting and prosecuting this in any city within the states, within the United States of America. You're being prosecuted and you're not staying in position. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that cannot do anything other than admit to being mentally ill while you contort your face in some manner while you're gang stalking. Okay? You can contort your face and look how, but you see them in position, you see them in that engineer light, they're monitoring. All right? This is an entity that's engaging in that while they are nonetheless engaged in the pattern of conduct. And while you listen to me prosecute, while they listen and obsess over me, they engage in what is stalking in helicopters. That's what you saw in this video. And then engage in what is stalking by planes. While there is, again, the ongoing a whole entire airport employing thousands of people. That is the expenditure of millions of dollars, and all of that is going to cease to exist because there will be no airport and nobody is being employed. The airport is getting shut down while the military terrorists, hitmen, those who need to tend to their HIV viruses instead of being up all night stalking me with a bunch of lesbians that are obsessing over my breathing pattern, how I breathe, how I move, and how I be. All right, I do want to document the point my video goes out. The entity is stalking again in concert with the Ontario police, who are stalking at the C Street turn circle, as I've documented so many times before. Pacing, psychopathic pacing, mentally ill behavior. The demons of the Ontario police are being committed, and that's already been the policy. This is the policy that's speaking to any and every gang stalker. So when you are a public official engaging in gang stalking, you're going to be committed. This is the entity that's gang stalking and doing so. As the video cuts out, the entity that's monitoring on my device is aware of that, immediately flies over in concert simultaneously with a demon operating an Ontario police vehicle. And the entity is, through Ontario police, stalking and flying, just like you see on video at the Ontario Senior Center earlier this evening. The demon is walking out. This is a female, an older female. She's walking out of the entrance doors, and these are demons that are stalking me. So everybody's in position. Oh, she's coming, she's coming. So the demons fly over the parking lot of the Ontario City Hall as I'm walking toward the Senior Center. I'm walking toward that direction, and at the same time, the demon walks out of the Senior Center. They are together pacing around me. One demon over in the aircraft. This is criminal monitoring via aerial surveillance, which is psychotic. And it's in sync with the entity that are demons on the ground. And that's what's so psychopathic about this demon that's engaging in the pattern of conduct while she tries to contort her face as though that's the farthest thing, that's the most, oh my goodness, that's the weirdest thing that I've ever heard of. You're going to be committed. All right? It's not the evidence that it's absurd. It's not the evidence that you're innocent. It's not persuasive. It's not relevant to what is the criminal activity that you're engaging in, but it is relevant context regarding how deranged you are and your malicious intent toward the person that you are obsessively stalking. You're so obsessed that you're engaging and failing at trying to hide that obsession, which is very disturbing, and it's threatening to the public while they behave that way. This is what the entity is doing. While the demons that are engaging in aerial surveillance monitoring, they're not hiding it at all. So what you are engaging in together, while you're monitoring together, it is serving to prosecute both of the entity that's acting directly and the entity that's acting vicariously, that is failing at what is presenting or projecting mental illness or the appearance of mental illness on the targeted individual who, as you all know, is never mentally ill in actuality, nor does stalking anyone ever create what is the issue regarding any sort of behavioral health concern. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and I'm speaking to what is analyzing the psychopath that is demon possessed. These are the creatures that are going into mental facilities, and the Ontario police, everyone that I'm documenting, they're being committed. Okay, when you are stalking as a one that is wearing a police uniform, that is absurdly malicious. I mean, a very high, severe level of instability. And these are literally demons that are puppets of Satan. I mean, their bodies contort. They're literally the eyeballs in their head. These are very psychopathic demon-possessed people who seek very hard to hide that behind the uniform and hide that behind the behavior of that which is supposed to appear appropriate. But as I've shown in my evidence, the more that I am documenting them, you can see through the evidence that it is all a veneer. And I have, when there are no cameras rolling, I just want to give my own, I have seen them behave as uncontrollable animals, their bodies jerking about while they're monitoring me. It's as though their bodies are in control of them. Their bodies are out of control. They contort. They are demon possessed and they're monitoring me. The creatures inside of them are using them. And I have witnessed this while I'm not recording video and while I'm just observing them. And this has happened. This is an agency. I just want to be clear. The ones that are gang stalking a part of these police departments, those are the most severely possessed entities. They have legions of demons inside of them. They are the most deranged. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. But what is most important, that's just anecdotal. Okay, this is the entity, and they are very psychotic. Absolutely psychotic. I don't care how controlled, I don't care how composed they try to appear. First of all, it doesn't matter under the legal analysis. Fake son, this is the same location where they were flying 17 planes this morning, and none of them were scheduled. They were outside of the schedule, and even the ones that were coming from Terminal 4 for Southwest and Delta Airlines, that's not going to be over the City Hall and the Senior Center, over the apartment complex for the old people at 6 in the morning. You're clearly stalking. Nobody's looking at your facial expression. Oh, don't I look innocent when I look at you from this angle? Don't I look innocent when you look at what I'm typing in on my laptop in the police vehicle with this uniform and this badge on? You see this big gun and these handcuffs I have on? Don't I look innocent don't I look authoritative, which directly rebuts the fact that I could ever be guilty? No, you're being prosecuted and everybody knows that you're demons. All right. Meaning you are absolutely capable and you are actually engaging it based on the evidence, which is no respecter of persons. Oh, you're under the fake sun. You're monitoring. You're monitoring. So you're monitoring while you're acting like you have authority under the law. You're monitoring while you are on the roads and the highways stalking like the rest of the population. You are holding hands, engaging in not just criminal, but psychotic behavior. You're being prosecuted, you're being committed. And the Ontario police make up that population by virtue of that position. That's automatic. So this is the entity that's engaging in the P.O.C. that's going to mandate mental examinations. This is the entity that's engaging that while they are monitoring my device. And as that video goes out, I just want to document immediately another plane hovers over the City Hall. And the demon is stalking in an Ontario police vehicle, doing so at the C Street turn circle, driving south on Lemon Avenue at the same time that the plane is flying over. That's that psychopathic pacing. And these demons are not on the phone on three-way like, okay, her phone went out, I'm going to fly over now. That's not what happened. They're in sync because they're demon possessed. Okay, they're in sync because they are demon possessed. They are in the spiritual realm. In other words, as you've referred to it before, in the spirit. These are demons that are on one accord. They have the same mind. They maintain the same information while they're monitoring me, monitoring my body movements, monitoring my devices as well. And they are engaging in simultaneity of conduct based on that in sync activity creation around me because they are monitoring spirits. They are demon possessed, which is a reference to their mentally ill condition that is hereby being documented and diagnosed by the prosecution for gang stalking me. Okay, this is the P.O.C. I want to make sure that that's clear because my video, I ran out of storage, so it stopped and then it ended. Immediately, the entity that's monitoring my device knows that and flew over with another plane. And you've seen them engage in the pathetic conduct, like stalking. It's bad enough that you're stalking. It's bad enough that a whole population, if this is not evidence to you that they're creatures and they're not humans, a whole population of them, the population is stalking, okay? Moreover, you're stalking in a plane. Like, you save up your money to stalk me. You save up. You maintain a treasury to stalk me. This is an entity that's engaging in that level of plotting, which is with regard to what is worshiping me, bowing before me, idolizing me. Okay? And while they do so, understand that's already pathetic. It's pathetic no matter what position you do that in. Satan is calling himself a police chief. You idolize me. You're stalking me. Satan is calling himself a governor. You are idolizing. You're stalking. You're monitoring me. Period. Gavin Newsom is maintained ongoing detail. Monitoring. This is a comprehensive system. He's merely a cockroach in a position that he's unfit to be in, by the way. He's merely a cockroach in a position, monitoring like everyone else. There is no distinction, no difference. This is an entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct regardless of their position, regardless of how many brownies they're baking for the kids at the nearby elementary school. Demons. And be careful, because they might put arsenic in those brownies one day. That's exactly what demons do. With regard to what is engaging in what is creating a reputation, they're so sweet, you would never suspect, you have no idea that demon-possessed people are even real, and that's when Satan is attacking you in a way that's supposed to make you look even absurd were you to suggest it. And this is not stating that you need to go around accusing people of all type of stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that you need to be aware about, first of all, the spiritual realm. Number two, the devil, who is a spirit, who is roaming around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. That's scripture. What does that mean? First of all, you need to be aware that he is real. He wants you to think that he's not real. Second of all, he's a spirit, meaning he's invisible. And the P.O.C. shows you that he is deducible through the environment. That's not the sun. The natural environment, it sits over me all day long. They are worshiping me. They're stalking. And then you have the nerve to be in that environment, walking by, contorting your face as though I am the feds. I'm documenting you and you're contorting your face. I wish you would do that inside of the military tribunal. Contort your face while they're reading your charges, while they are asking you how do you plead guilty or innocent, while they have the direct evidence. This is like having the knife in your hand, your bloody fingerprints on the knife, and you are looking perplexed and treating that person as though they're delusional while they are looking at you on the surveillance camera, stabbing the victim. They're looking at you on the surveillance camera, breaking in with the knife and leaving with that knife and then dropping it on the staircase. They pick it up. Your fingerprints are all over it. And you've got blood on the shirt, which rubbed on. They have all manner of evidence against you. And you're in the court, in the face of that evidence, doing it in real time on the surveillance camera. Everybody's asking you a question that they know the answer to because you're entitled to that in a court of law. And you are looking as though they are crazy. That's what's getting committed. Do you understand that? That's what's getting committed. Alrighty, this is an entity that's engaging in what is bullying the unsophisticated targeted individual. And you should not have to be prepared for this type of attack by the government. But because this is what the demons are doing, this is how the demons are going to be treated under law. So this is the entity this is balancing out. This is balancing it out. All right. I don't know who you thought you were bullying, but now you're going to have to deal with federal law. And you've shown you're a banner for mental illness. You are a neon blinking sign. Okay, a billboard over the freeway. Everybody can see it. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that level of mentally unstable conduct, and you will not be treated any differently under the law. I kid you not. In fact, the more quote unquote important your position, the more seriously your criminal engagement in gang stalking is going to be taken. You will be committed just like any other so-called unimportant person that cleans toilets or whatever you think about that. You'll be locked up right along with him. This is the entity stalking by plane. This is exactly what they did with the Ontario Police Department, P.O.C. And it's 12:31 a.m. There are no scheduled flights. And what they were doing with the Ontario Police was pursuant to Ontario Police engagement in gang stalking me, conspiring my murder. They're doing it while Sarah's Regis Group is gang stalking. A demon is driving out in relevant position, stalking with light in the path, psychopathic pacing. Okay? They're monitoring together in my path with the method of light. That's using a vehicle. I'm being molested with engineer light. I've got multiple shadows. The entity is stalking and targeting with commercial planes that are never going to be in the sky space. Moreover, they're not going to be hovering. And this is all relevant to judicially noticed facts. The entity's already prosecuted. The entity's doing so through the Ontario police that are engaged in a conspiracy to murder me, not law enforcement. You are being committed. And everybody that I documented Ontario police stalking, the license plate, they're going to prison. The number on the top of that vehicle, they are being watched in ways they are not aware of. They learn about it while they obsess over my podcast. Okay, they're engaging in that pattern of conduct, and who you are is already known. My evidence is supplemented, honey. You're going to prison and you're going to be committed because there's a mountain of evidence while you chose to, under that fake sun, in light of everything that I said, to get on that street in that vehicle with UPS at that intersection, H Street and Euclid Avenue, to engage in what it's communicating, making a statement. Your statement is that, please lock me up in a mental facility because I'm highly unstable and I can't control myself from stalking Erica Spencer. And the federal government is obliged. They hear your cry for help. You're going to be locked up. You're going to be committed. And everyone else, it's very clear that you're stalkers and you've engaged in what is levying war against me as a department. You're being disbanded in every single last one of you while you continuously sacrifice yourself, because that's what you do. While you listen to me and you're masturbating, and then you get triggered while you're listening to me tell you what's going to happen, and you gang stalk in real time. because you're demons you're creatures, and you're not rational beings. You're not reasonable beings. So you come right into the line of fire. And that is for the benefit of the American people, because the more of you that are locked up in mental facilities, the better, because that's exactly what's happening. You're sacrificing yourselves. This is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. while they're stalking by planes and helicopters, and that's exactly what you're looking at. And the demons that are gang stalking with them, because it's already established what you are and what you're doing. My only role is I'm embarrassing you and I'm prosecuting while you're doing it. So while you want to contort your face, you're going to be committed with that. You're going to be committed. While the more that you engage in what is trying to present as though the person that you are gang stalking is stalking you, or is in any circumstances mentally ill while they are subject to your targeting and furtherance of murdering them and psychologically torturing them. You're engaging in psychological torture. It's the evidence of your mental illness, of your instability, of your antisocial disorder. That needs to be diagnosed and further looked into. You will be committed. I cannot make this any more clear for you. This is the P.O.C. The entity's up stalking me at 12 o'clock in the morning. Don't you ever forget that. Don't you ever forget it. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 12:33 a.m.